All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. I am sorry I'm a little late, but we're here. We're live. We got a lot to talk about. We got a bunch of things happening right now. In about 30 minutes, we will have Jason on the show, and we will get into Technical Tuesday, the first Technical Tuesday of the year. Look at Bitcoin making a little bit of a move right here, 94.3. I have come to the conclusion that the reason Robinhood has been kind of dicey this year is because of Bitcoin. Robinhood finally breaks out to 120 after a week. Why? Not because of anything other than, in my opinion, Bitcoin. It feels like the asset is heavily correlated right now with Bitcoin, which I thought it kind of started to get divergent from Bitcoin, but nothing around high beta, nothing about the stock market, nothing about the S&P 500 going higher was enough to get Robinhood to go up outside of Bitcoin, going up 3%. Ethereum as well, getting a nice little pump right here. So all the crypto names getting some love. Ethereum right there above 3,200. Robinhood at 120, Bitcoin at 94.3. There's a couple reasons for why I think we're getting this crypto pump that we'll talk about in a second. Adobe, ugly day. Very ugly day. 5% down on Adobe, 309. Meta, we'll talk more about Meta. Also a pretty ugly day, fell to 627. Right now it's 629. It started the day at 645. Bunch of different headlines that ultimately did not do enough for Meta. ZETA was down about 3.4%. AMD got a hell of an upgrade this morning at 270. We'll talk a little bit more about their numbers. They're up 6% on the day, one of the best semiconductor stocks of the day. Tesla's flat, Intel's up, Air Test Systems is up, Rocket Lab is flat. Relatively mixed day. We had some things that were good, some things that were bad. I mean, freaking NVIDIA 2 hours ago, there was a China headline that said, once again, the Chinese are banning the H200s, which if you actually look into the article, of course, by the information, it was saying that China is going to allow the H200s, but in certain subsectors, which is pretty much exactly what the market already knew. So NVIDIA started pumping on that news, got all the way to 188, and now it's right back down to 184.9. So large caps aren't really catching a bid 2 weeks into the year outside of Google. Google right here at 335 did touch 340 this morning. But we do have a variety of headlines to look at. The high beta trade continues to be strong with, again, Adobe, CRM, a lot of these SaaS names just not getting a lot of love. Micron was down 2% on the day. SanDisk was actually up. So those two went against each other. TMDX was up 10% at one point. Now it's up 5%. Bloom Energy was up 2%. And then SMH also 0.12% on the day. VG, not a bad day. Hit 824. Got rejected at 824, but still up 7.2%. If we get a close above 750. That would not be the worst thing in the world. So we have a couple of things from Trump that he said, and the markets are trying to figure out how to interpret them. First of all, CPI this morning was phenomenal. 2.6 versus 2.7 on core. So we had a good CPI, had a little bit of a move in the pre-market, and then kind of had the rug pull. And then some stocks went green, some stocks went red. The same story that we've been seeing every day, whereas certain names catch the bid and certain names don't. Trump wants the markets to go up. Here's what he said in Detroit this morning. Around asset prices and equities.
Today, if you announce great numbers, they raise interest rates to try and kill it. So you can never really have the kind of rally you should have. What happens and what we want, we're going to have a lot of great months, a lot of great quarters. I want the market to go up. You announce unbelievable numbers and the market goes down because they know you're going to do everything possible. In the Fed, we have a real stiff in the Fed, but that's for another day. But they raise rates. So everyone says, oh, they announced great numbers. It's great, great, great. And the market goes down because they immediately raise rates. No, when the market goes up, they should lower rates. You want to see 20% and 25%? You want to see what we can do? We've got to go back to an old standard. When there's good news, the market should go up, not go down. Does that make sense to everybody? And that's the way it used to be for most of the time. That's the way you make a country great. But our growth potential is unlimited and could be much higher if we went back to sanity. We're not doing it anymore. We're talking about the head of the Fed. And I want somebody that when the market is doing great, interest rates can go down because our country becomes stronger. See, you view it differently. Our country becomes stronger and therefore interest rates should go down, not up. They kill every rally. If it's no matter who, it's beyond me as president, it's no matter who's president. You have a good quarter and they want to kill it because you're so petrified of inflation. And growth and inflation don't necessarily go hand in hand. You can have growth and very low inflation. In fact, oftentimes growth is good for low inflation. So we're going to work on that, Scott, right? I think we're going to work on that very hard. I mean it so strongly. It's sickening. We announce good numbers and we see the stock market drops 300 points. I say, what the hell is going on?
What is the takeaway from that for investors? The takeaway is that Trump obviously cares about the stock market. With all of the policies that he's been floating, whether it's QE from Fannie and Freddie or credit card rates being capped at 10%, which, by the way, we've got something pretty hilarious to talk about when it comes to credit cards. At the end of the day, he is still a president that cares about the stock market. And I think at its core, when he's talking about the market as explicitly like that by saying, hey, good news, and then the market goes down, what the heck is happening? He cares. And if Trump cares about that, along with caring about affordability, he's going to try to have his cake and eat it too. He's going to try to pump Main Street and Wall Street going into the midterms. I think there would be a lot of angry older people if they have to vote in the midterms with their 401ks down by 20%, which, by the way, one of the big banks came out this morning and said, we see a 20% drawdown happening towards the end of the year. I'll pull up that note in a second. They think the Dow Jones will drop 15 to 20% towards the end of the year. But like, obviously that would not be good for investors or just, the average American when they go to vote, and potentially they might vote for the other side. So I think from that perspective, you got to believe that Donnie T is going to try to pump up the markets, and with him talking as explicitly about that, it makes sense to be long equities. S&P 500 right there, that's 0.43%, or down 0.43%. ZETA right there, that is down 3% of the day. ZETA almost got below 23. I think it got to 22.96. Now it's at 23.50. Intel continues to pump 47.20. Lennar, we had some good housing data this morning. That was actually up 2%. Then you got RKLB that tried to break 90, was not able to do it. That's up that's down 1.65%. In terms of the credit cards, I thought this was just pretty wild to hear. They asked Mike Johnson, Speaker of the Fed, what do you think about Trump's credit card policy? The Senate Republican Majority Leader Thune already came out and said he is opposed to capping credit card rates at 10%. Mike Johnson had to be a little politically correct here and say that this policy doesn't really make much sense.
On credit card interest rates as a part of an affordability push, how much support is in your caucus for that?
I talked with him about it briefly yesterday, and he is the president is the ideas guy. And what he's doggedly determined to do and laser focused upon doing is the same thing that we are, and that is reducing the cost of living, bringing down prices for the American people. And he's looking at every idea under the sun to do that. It's one of a large menu of ideas that have been proposed as something we ought to think about and investigate. Since I had the conversation with him, I've talked to a number of colleagues about that and what that would mean, and are there unintended consequences of that? And it's a complicated area. So I don't know. Like everything else, you would need legislation to do something like that, and we'd have a lot of work to build consensus around it. But you got to be very careful if you go forward in that. In our zeal to bring down costs, you don't want to have negative secondary effects of that. So, for example, one of the things that the president probably had not thought through, and others at first glance, it sounds great. We should bring down, interest rates to 10%. It would help everybody, all borrowers. There's a lot of Americans who have a lot of credit card debt. But then, what some of the experts have said is, well, but the problem is if you do that, then the credit card companies, the negative secondary effect is that they would just stop lending money, and maybe they cap what people are able to borrow at a very low amount. And
that's Mike Johnson basically saying this doesn't make any sense. And so you got the Speaker of the House disagreeing with Trump right after he said this. There was a Polymarket poll that popped up on how long is he going to last as the Speaker of the House. But you have an obvious contradiction between the executive branch and the Speaker of the House, basically saying, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. JP Morgan, they had a great earnings today, stocks down 3%. The CFO also said people will lose access to credit, especially the people who need it most. Now, again, obviously, the bank CEOs and CFOs are going to say this because they're incentivized to keep their credit rates high and be able to make money off of it. But Goldman Sachs came out with a study this morning and said the average APR for credit cards in the United States of America is 18%. That is 800 basis points higher than what Trump wants to keep it at. I don't know if you can flip that up overnight. Maybe on a multi-year process with a lot of different incentives and logistics, you can make that happen. I don't know if you can make it happen by January 20th. So it seems like it's a joke and it's not going to happen. Visa and MasterCard still getting hit. Visa down 4%, MasterCard down 3.5% on this news. Continuation of the red from yesterday. I don't know why Adobe's down, but Adobe's down 5%. But it doesn't feel like the credit card stuff is actually going to go through. And we're going to see tomorrow, or not tomorrow. Tomorrow we get the Supreme Court news, but we'll see probably by the end of next week if it ends up happening. You got two headlines as we get into the close. We have Secretary of the Energy, Chris Wright, or I said Secretary of the Energy Secretary Chris Wright says U.S. would happily partner with Iran on oil if regime ends. You had Trump this morning tweeting out, make Iran great again. So obviously he feels incentivized to potentially go into the region and strike. The Wall Street Journal also reported about what happened today. Amazon, we got a headline from the FT, pushes suppliers for cuts ahead of Supreme Court tariff ruling. Okay, so that tariff ruling is going to happen tomorrow around 10 a.m. It's going to be a big one. We're going to see what ends up happening, but that is also going to be really important for the broader markets. I think Nike's getting a little bit of a pump because the market's expecting that. Nike right there, 66.30, that those tariffs are going to get overruled. Meta, 630. Again, ugly day for Meta, down 2%, not the lowest it was at. Oh, wow, it got to 624 at one point during the day. Meta announced a bunch of things over the past couple of days. It was not enough, whether it's compute, whether it's glasses, whether it's firing people from Reality Labs. Overall, the stock has been kind of stuck down about 2% right here. It lost 630 for the first time in 2026 today. Intel continues to go higher. That's up 7%. NBIS and IREN, I think, have been stuck today. Yeah, NBIS down 2%. Both of them had pretty monster days yesterday. IREN going the opposite of NBIS today. Look at that, 5% green. How about CoreWeave? 87.30, that was down 3%. APLD, that was down 4%. So IREN being the winner today. I think IREN is getting a lot more social media buzz. Now, this is a very popular name already, but I'm just seeing the ticker a lot more on X. And so you might have some more people coming into the name. EOSE, that was up 4% on the day. Apple got a little bit of love. Again, that Google partnership has been holding on to, or has been creating a lot more momentum. Google right there at 335. That's going to be the second day in a row it closes above 4 trillion. Oh yeah, they did get a price target upgrade to 80 from HC Wentworth, 55 to 80. They actually had a sell rating on the stock in the summer. They upgraded it to a buy. Same thing with AMD, getting a buy versus a sell from one of the big banks. And that's what helped them. Now, UiPath, this one got hit pretty bad. Remember in the morning I showed you guys Claude Cowork? We were talking about it during the day. Is that a form of robotic processing automation? And the market, I think, kind of thinks it is. People are saying that Path is down because the insider sold shares. He sold like 0.12% of his overall shares. I don't think that's the reason. I think it might be the market perceiving Claude Cowork as a competitor to the automation tools of UiPath. Now, granted, is that actually true? Is that just opening up the TAM for the entire industry? Not exactly sure. But if you've been waiting for Path, Claude seems like it gave you a bit of a dip today. Is CRM actually getting hit? I haven't looked at it. Wow, CRM. What the hell happened to this? 7% down. My goodness, there's got to be a bigger headline there for CRM down 7%. That's aggressive. I mean, Adobe was down 5%. I guess the entire software sector, IGV is probably down today. Yeah, IGV down 2%. Ew. That's weird. We got to do a little digging on that to see what the hell happened. Salesforce is a $240 billion company. That doesn't just fall 7% for no reason. That is very weird. NVIDIA flipping green right at the close. All right, we're going to see what happens. Here we go. Tuesday, January 13th, 4 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is once again closed. All right, we are closed for the day. Once again, it continues to be a stock picker's market. If you're in VG, you end the day up 7%. If you're in Salesforce, you end the day down 7%. Nike was up 1% of the day. MasterCard and Visa once again got hit with this credit card stuff, both down 4% of the day. Amkor was up about 1%. Meta down 1.69%. Again, the only reason Hood is getting a 120 close, it is becoming like very obvious at this point. It's because of Bitcoin. And I thought it wasn't as correlated to crypto anymore, but it seems like it is. I mean, it's been stuck at around 115 to 118 for 2 weeks. Now it pumps to 120 because Bitcoin finally gets a breakout, which is this a legit breakout? I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin at 94.4 is better than Bitcoin at 89 like it was on Sunday. But can we get this above 95? That would be important. But that's good for Hood. And that's why Hood is getting some momentum. So I think we have to keep an eye on Bitcoin if we're keeping an eye on Robinhood. MicroStrategy right there, that was up 6% on the day. BMNR, I think, was up 3%. No, BMNR was flat. Wow. ETH moves 3%. BMNR doesn't get anything. That means they probably diluted today at the top And those extra shares made it harder for the stock to go higher. SOFI right there got to close above 27, which was nice to see. 27.13. Lemonade was down 6% on the day. That basically reverses all the gains that it had yesterday. Weird. Capital One, once again, down 1%. American Express down 0.5%. Amazon down 2%. Could not get a breakout. Broadcom was up a little bit. Some of the memory stocks were down on the day. JP Morgan had a great earnings. I'm not sure what the street wasn't happy with, down 4%. Even the credit loss provisions, once again, came in $400 million better than expected, which means that their loans are relatively stable. Even Jamie Dimon was pretty bullish, but JP Morgan right there down about 4.2%. And then Delta, we had earnings for them. That was down 2%. We don't have any earnings after the bell. Tomorrow we will have Bank of America, Citi, Wells Fargo, and then Thursday we have TSM, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, and Morgan Stanley. So nothing after the bell, but those were the main earnings that we had today. Trump, we got some more comments. He told CBS on Iran, the end game is to win. That was his exact quote. He did go to Ford's factory today in Detroit, and he did another interview with them. And he kind of continued to make the same arguments that he's been making for the past couple months now around tariffs and obviously reindustrializing the United States. Robin right there, 120. IGV, we got to figure out what the hell happened with Salesforce. Let me just do a quick little search. Salesforce down 7%. It almost feels like a big fund today woke up and said, we are officially done betting on software and we're probably putting our money somewhere else. Salesforce announces Slack bot. If this is the reason, if a Slack chatbot is the reason, your personal agent for work, for why this stock took a 7% beating. I mean, look, I know Palantir is more expensive, but there's a reason sometimes you pay a higher multiple. I mean, sometimes there's a reason. You know, I think it has to do with Claude Code. If Salesforce is saying this is their autonomous personal bot that helps you get things done, I mean, literally it's called your personal agent for work. What did Claude announce yesterday that we talked about for 10 minutes in the morning? Claude Cowork, and the examples and the automated workflows we saw on that were pretty damn incredible. Even as someone who doesn't use sort of these automated workflows in my ecosystem, looking at them made me think I could. And it was just like, wow, this is pretty damn incredible. Kind of feels like Claude took the lunch perceptually of Salesforce and Path today. Maybe that's the reason why it's down. IREN still moving after hours, 53.10. This one's moving again. It's because who wrote the Claude software, the AI? Yeah, Claude Code ended up writing Claude Cowork. That is fair. Maybe it's getting the market excited about this as well. Bitcoin right there, 94,458. Snowflake is probably, let me just go to all the SaaS names. I think Palantir was the one that got hit the least from everything in SaaS. Then we'll get to a couple other headlines and then get into Technical Tuesday. CrowdStrike, they acquired a company that was up today. Cloudflare was up today. ServiceNow was down 3. Adobe was down 5. Mongo was down 2. Atlassian was down 6. Salesforce down 7. Oracle actually ended down 1%. Confluent was flat. Snowflake was down 5. Datadog was down 1. Palantir was the only one that was down 0.25%, which was the lowest of all the other SaaS names. ASST, they merged with Semler Scientific today. They were down 11%. Did they just announce a reverse split? Is that true? I don't know if that's the most bearish, but stocks don't typically do well after the reverse split. Oh, yeah, they did. This was earlier in the day, right? It looks official. They did the reverse split, or they're getting ready to do the reverse split. Okay. I mean, I've been a part of a few reverse splits in my life as well. They're not fun. There's something fundamental, then it eventually moves on, but it's not always the best. All right, cool. So that's some of the headlines we had as we get into the market close. Let me pull up a couple of these clips as well for some other stuff we got going on, and then we'll look at a couple of different things around macro. So you had Trump once again talk more about what's going on in Venezuela. Again, we got to keep an eye on Iran. It looks like he's very serious about coming into the region, but here's what he had to say about continued strikes with Venezuela today.
We hit them with the same missile that we used to hit the drug dealers coming in with the boats. You know, we have drugs coming in by sea down 97%. You've seen that? 97%. And we're trying we're really trying hard to find out who the hell is the other 3%. But we have them down 97%. And we're going to start hitting them by land too. The hard part is done. By sea, nobody's coming. It hasn't been great for the fishing industry, however. Those that have a fishing boat, they're having a hard time getting customers. But
once again, it seems like Trump is going to continue with these strikes. The Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that JD Vance is trying to stop him from engaging militarily, but it looks like Trump wants to do that, and the emphasis on what he did in Venezuela and carrying that over to Iran seems like, it really does seem like that's going to happen, especially based on the tweet he said this morning. I think we got a Netflix headline right here, folks. Netflix up a little bit in the pre-markets. Let me take a look at this. Netflix reportedly considering making its $83 billion Warner Brothers offer all cash. Wow. That's a bit, sorry, not pre-markets, after hours. Do they even have $83 billion in cash? How much cash does Netflix have? They have $9 billion in cash. Where the hell are they going to? Where is the? I guess cash doesn't mean literal cash, but no, it has to be. They're going to have to take on debt for that. They already have $17 billion in debt. Obviously, they can't give part of their stock because then it's not all cash. I don't know where they're getting. Headline right there. Netflix 90.65 up 0.33%. You know, them doing this means they're actually kind of getting scared. If this headline is true, Bloomberg's reporting right now of Paramount's offer. Paramount might be increasing their offer, which is potentially something the Warner Bros. Board has to have a fiduciary duty to explore. Bitcoin's still 94.4. Netflix making it all cash is definitely better for shareholders. They don't have to deal with getting a piece of Netflix stock. They can just take the cash and run. Netflix now moving a bit after hours. Question is, I mean, is it worth putting that much money into this? Maybe Netflix has an offering. Yeah. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. All right. So that's the headline we have right there on Netflix. A couple other macro things, and then we will get into Technical Tuesday. First of all, take a look at these numbers on AMD by Stacy from Bernstein. That once again continues to be pretty bullish on this. I mean, this stuff looks pretty damn incredible. Basically, he's estimating that by 2030, there's going to be net income of $45 billion, EPS of $25.90, and revenue of $152 billion. If you put a reasonable multiple on that, or if you take it to be a little bit higher, you're looking at an average share price of $900 to $1,500 a share. AMD needs to get to $600 to become a $1 trillion company. That's when that AMD deal with OpenAI also gets triggered. So makes sense that AMD got the pump today. The MI450 chips are getting a lot more attention. 221 right there on AMD. NVIDIA did not make that same move, but you're getting a lot more excitement potentially into some of the more semiconductor names. PayPal, by the way, which continues to be a tough name to look at in terms of its stock price reaction. They are now advertising on a podcast that maybe a lot of you guys have heard of, the All In podcast. PayPal is advertising on the All In podcast. If you take a look at the recent All In podcast, you can see right there in the corner, it says presented by PayPal Open. I don't know what PayPal Open is, but I guess it's a thing. And there you go. 20 billion authorized of buybacks on a $52 billion company, I guess, is not enough to get the street excited. So they are advertising on the All In podcast. And it seems like maybe that is going to be enough to potentially get the stock to move. But we're going to have to find out. Last thing I'll show before we get into Technical Tuesday, clip from Jensen talking about global GDP and what NVIDIA can do to this. His argument is that NVIDIA should be able to drive global GDP up to about $200 trillion.
I want to switch gears now to talk about the social impacts of AI. This is a technology that has the potential to automate many aspects of human labor very soon. And I'm curious the degree to which you feel a responsibility for making that transition go well.
What AI will do is to make tasks that we do in our job more efficient. Our job is not to wrangle a spreadsheet. Our job is not to type into a keyboard. Our job is generally more meaningful than that. I'm fairly confident that AI will drive productivity, revenue growth, and therefore more hiring. There's a belief that the world's GDP is somehow limited at $100 trillion. Well, What's likely to happen is AI is going to cause that $100 trillion to become $200 trillion, $300 trillion, $500 trillion. There's no fundamental limit to the size of a GDP. And so, and the number of people in the world that is participating in this GDP, in the $100 trillion GDP is actually quite small. And so what if we brought the rest of the world, the rest of society, the rest of the world's population, empower them with AI, give them the opportunity to participate in the GDP, and cause this GDP to quintuple? I think that's a very likely outcome. And it's very likely that companies will become more prosperous. But it's for certain. This is for certain. Everybody's jobs will change as a result of AI. Some jobs will disappear. Obviously, every single industrial revolution, some jobs are just gone, but a whole bunch of new jobs are created. Everybody will have to use AI, because if you don't use AI, you're going to lose your job to somebody who does.
So you got Jensen throwing around some pretty bullish numbers, and obviously that's getting the market excited as well. And then you have a video like this that comes out today of NVIDIA showing off their new physical AI products and what's going on in the Omniverse. I mean, you either believe there is going to be this massive revolution up to $200 trillion that doubles global GDP, or you don't. And obviously, if you do, the semiconductors have been the best sector to be in over the past couple of years. But physical AI, which, by the way, again, I talked about it on Friday, Aptronic has just raised at a $5.5 billion valuation. Google has a pretty big stake in that company as well. It seems like the next biggest use case of AI outside of agentic workflows are the robots. And maybe this is the year where it happens, maybe it doesn't, but it's definitely something that's going to be important to, if we are going to see this AI revolution manifest in a deeper level. Last quick thing before we get Jason on, we do have just a summary right here of what Trump talked about in Detroit, and it looks like he's teasing a future framework for his economic agenda. This is probably what he's going to be talking about going into the midterms. We'll take a look at this, and then we will get into TT.
To kind of tease ahead to a couple of economic announcements that are upcoming. He said he's going to have more on the housing market in his speech in Davos next week. You know, we talked about that massive bond buying program that he announced last week and the effort to get big institutional investors out of the housing market. He said he'll have more to say on all of that next week. He also talked about what they're calling the healthcare affordability framework, which he says he's going to announce later this week on healthcare. He says it's going to reduce premiums for millions on lower drug prices, delivering price transparency and demand, honesty, and accountability. So we'll watch for that news, which he says is coming later on this week. And then, Mike, I also wanted to flag for you this comment, kind of an interesting one. You talked about his insults of the Federal Reserve Chairman, which he has been making sort of very regularly. He also had this comment about the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, today. Struck me as a little bit passive-aggressive. Take a listen and see what you think about it.
We have a man who's doing a fantastic job. I get angry at him every once in a while, but very, very seldom, because he just, he's got what it takes. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
So either joking or sort of a shot across the bow from the president to the Treasury Secretary saying, I get angry at him from time to time, but very seldom. Look, watchers of that relationship will kind of have their eyebrows go up here to try to figure out, you know, what's going on behind the scenes. The subtext is, of course, there are these reports that the Treasury Secretary was out of step with the president in terms of the Powell investigation and felt that it would be a problem for the administration in terms of getting their own Fed share confirmed up on Capitol Hill if this investigation went forward. So we're watching all that, what we've seen from the officials.
You know, that makes sense. Rick Reeder is now gaining share on Polymarket, who's the BlackRock CIO, to potentially become the new Fed chair. So you're starting to see diversification into other candidates. But number two is, Bessent said this last year, him and Powell have breakfast every other week. So he probably doesn't love that Powell is super hawkish, which, you know, last year he gave us 75 bips of cuts. It's not like he's the most hawkish in the world. But he probably likes him as a human being. I mean, look, you have breakfast with the guy every other week. So he probably didn't want Trump to launch a criminal investigation into the guy, and that maybe pissed off Trump. But nonetheless, Bessent is still the Treasury Secretary, and we're going to see how that relationship ultimately turns out. All right, here we go. It is Tuesday, the first Tuesday of not the first Tuesday of 2026, but the first technical Tuesday of 2026. For those that are new to the channel, this is where we talk technicals. If you don't care about technicals, we're going to be here for the next 3 hours talking technicals, so that's okay. But if you are interested in male astrology, then you are free to stay here and watch. We're going to get rid of the first like 15 main tickers, NVIDIA, Palantir, Hood, Tesla, all that stuff. and then we will take audience requests. So we will try to get to pretty much every ticker that we can. I will have a doc pinned in the comments. Please click on that document. That will keep a running track of all the tickers that have been done already, so you don't have to ask if we did it. And we'll get started with the first Technical Tuesday of 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it has been too long. It is time to roll the intro.
Happy New Year, bud. We made it. We made it. Holy shit. Look at the comments. These guys. I love it. I love it. What's up, man?
Happy New
Welcome
Year,
back
man.
to the world of the real people, I guess. I mean, dude, what an event you had, by the way. I've been following your little journey here, man. And it's just, dude, if you could sum up Vegas in like one sentence, what would it be?
I'll give you one word.
Okay.
Hangover.
Hangover, dude.
Especially the last night.
Dude, I mean,
We're here. We're back, dude. I'm excited.
we are here.
We are going to be doing this for, I don't know what we have, 30 or 40 Technical Tuesdays of the year. So there's a lot to talk about.
Give or take. Sometimes some extras, sometimes we miss, but we usually make it up.
Yeah. And I think this year the technicals are going to matter a lot as well, because there are so many headlines that like fundamentally can change things. So the exit, the entry, we've had a bit of a high beta rally over the past couple of weeks. Definitely curious on your thoughts on kind of what's happening here.
I mean, like generally speaking, we came into this closing out last year. A lot of my focus was on the January effect. And I don't know if you guys remember talking about this, but that's the general broadening into some mid small cap type things, definitely Russell 2000. We see a lot of the broadening also in the industrials, things like that. And as of late, some of my attention's been kind of, I don't want to call it like the demise of the Mag 7, but the Mag 7 as a cohort or as a broad group is definitely losing strength, generally speaking. And I think what I'm seeing in the markets is just, it's very basic. It's a very temporary thing, most likely, but I'm seeing some people cash out a little bit, maybe your Metas, maybe your Microsofts, things like that, even your NVIDIAs as it continues to chop sideways, Tesla even, all of it, and then really just diversify. So what I'll say is that overall, right now, it's not bad at all. It's just, where is your focus? And that puts you in that stock pickers mentality, right? And I think that theme is going to stay for the rest of the year, quite frankly. There'll be some winners in the Mag 7 definitively, but do all the Mag 7 hold their strength overall? I'm not saying that they're going to go down, but do they continue to completely outperform the market tenfold like they have? I think that's the real question. And as we come into the year, that's what I'm seeing kind of play out. Even things like, I think it was yesterday, Meta's headline about releasing Meta Cloud, and reselling essentially some of the infrastructure. That's a huge deal. But as we look at the market today, what I can see, just to me, as someone who comes from enterprise technology, it's very crystal clear. What I'm seeing is that, look, the market's probably discounting the shift that Meta's talking about doing by reselling cloud infrastructure, which, by the way, I think is going to be a huge deal. But do they get credit for that now? Clearly, no. And at the same time, what does that mean for AWS? What does that mean for Azure? GCP was already the smallest of the group. I think people still love Google for a lot of other things other than just GCP or their cloud, but Microsoft and Meta not being able to continue higher. Intraday today, I'm watching Meta fall down. I'm watching Microsoft and Amazon pull back. I think that just shows us there's competition now for Microsoft and Amazon in the cloud space. Yes, it will be good for Meta eventually, but when is eventually? That's probably like a year down the road. And in the meantime, as you look across the market, what does that mean that Meta has to do if they're going to actually sell their cloud infrastructure? Well, they have to get it out to what we call points of presence, or the edge, if you will. And so we'll see things like Arista, Celestica, all that kind of stuff, edge compute, actually do really well, because that's going to have to be an investment piece for Meta to serve that cloud computing infrastructure.
It's almost like the smaller players are catching the bid over the larger players, which I think has been kind of the trend this entire year. So let's get started into let's get into the S&P 500. Let's pull that up, and I think that'll get us into pretty much what we need to start with, and then we'll get into all the main tickers, and you can talk about kind of the S&P versus IWM, which is IWM is 5x the S&P to start off the year.
Well, that's not really saying much, but okay.
It is incredible, right? Like the biggest companies in the world have done nothing for the past 12 days.
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's probably a temporary condition. So if you're new to the show, welcome. By the way, a lot of the stuff that I'll say here is mostly trading. So take it with a grain of salt in terms of meaning what matters is your time horizon. If I think something might pull back for a little while, does not mean sell your stock. It does not mean sell your stock. It means you might get a little bit better like cost basis in a little while. That's it. So not investment, not financial advice. Is that what I should say? Not financial advice, NFA.
And we have 5 tickets or 5 minutes on all the main tickers, and then we'll get to 2:30 for the.
Yeah, hence the little, let me just, can you guys see the screen okay? It's been a while. Yes. I think you can see, I just want to make sure you guys can see the numbers. Chat says good. Yep, they're already throwing their tickers out. Let me get my tickers in. All right, so we're starting this clock at 5 minutes. Here's where we are on SPY. So this is usually, when I look at it broadly speaking, you typically want to start at a very high time frame. So this is a weekly chart. I mean, just clearly, just so you know, up and to the right for right now. We had a little bit of a breakout here over 685. That was a pretty key level. What we're going to be looking for is continuation. I'm going to drop down into a smaller time frame here. And what I use is something called NFP. And this is, you know, to bridge the fundamental gap into the technical world. I'm a very strong believer that this is a fundamental event that creates a future technical level. And so what typically happens, so by the way, so there's the profit target. What typically happens is that after we get a non-farm payroll release, the market goes into a bit of a digestion mode. And so what we're going to be looking at is very simply just like draw. Let me see if I can make this thicker. Anyways, I'll just do it this way. Just draw a hard line in the sand from Friday's high right here, and also Friday's low. Friday was the day that we got our NFP numbers, so the high and the low. What I'm going to be looking for to create the broader trend for, quite frankly, the year, but at least between now and the next non-farm payroll release, is multiple days opening and closing above that 695 on SPY. Right now, what we have is we have a open below and a close on, so that's not good enough. Today we have kind of like a close on and definitely a close below. So this is not good enough. So I cannot say right now that the trend is higher just yet. What this is telling you is that, well, quite frankly, this has like a near 90% probability every Friday, every non-farm payroll of actually locking in the high or the low for the month. So the question is, was this the high or was this the low? So far, we've only tested the low once and we've tested the high twice. So for all intents and purposes, what I can say is that it's probably, I hope that the low's in, but we could easily be chopping. And intraday, this is literally just a 50% pullback. That's what we call like a golden pocket pullback. That's actually fairly bullish. We're not testing the lows. So right now, as long as we're over 690s, call it, I'm going to stay bullish from here. And immediately, even just under 689 or just around 690. Honestly, if we get a little dip by and that holds, that would actually probably, ideally, that would be the lows. for the month in a best case scenario, but we got to be open to both. If we fail, we're probably looking at a pullback down to 675, which doesn't break this chart at all. So back to the trend count, what we have is a series of higher highs and higher lows. What I'm saying is that I'm looking for one more higher low, ideally to lock in around that 690 level. If that holds, then I should expect to see a higher high after that. And that quite frankly looks a little something like that. Best case scenario. So keep an eye on that 690 level moving forward for SPY. And if it doesn't, then this 675, this is actually the stronger support down here. This is our prior breakout zone from over here. And that would be, I would just kind of let it go, not try to dip buy anything until I get closer to that level. That's how I'm seeing SPY right now. But for all intents and purposes, look, the trend count is intact. We have a series of higher highs and we have a series of higher lows. What I can say right now is that the market is still digesting Friday's number and today's CPI. So just wait. A little patience will do you a lot of good, in my opinion, on this situation. Do you
think 7,000 is still in play, or it's too close to ignore?
I mean, you gave me a really, you helped me out, because last time I said we'll probably see 7,000 before we meet again. And then we had like a week of delays. So you gave me an extra week, maybe even two, and we didn't quite get there. We got 697. So quite frankly, I feel like that's good enough for government work right now. I have to wait for a new trade to show up. And so I would not press that bet. No, not until we see that full day's trading range over 696, just to be clear. And again, this is what I'm talking about. This is trading. This is not investing. That's only a couple points. Like, as an investor, do you really care about 10 points? Probably not. But as a trader, you can trade that. And if we do get through that, then this 710 is more like what a breakout would look like off of this full consolidation right here. For right now, we are actually holding general support. It's not large support. But if we do chop around here, what I'll say, and I just ran out of time, is that this is actually pretty bullish. So if we do chop around that 690 level, look at this. This is that green box. This becomes a big, what we would call break, retest, and sets up for that expansion. And so because of that, I still would like to see 690s hold. We're right in limbo right now, not quite deep enough for me to be like, oh, I need to buy this. Definitely not pressing higher to say, okay, this is absolutely going further. It's a bit of a hang and wait moment.
Okay, that's fair. Let's get some of the main tickers out of the way, and then we will
get Qs just as a request really quick, because it's a different setup.
Yeah.
Because of what we talked about. So QQQ, so the same rules apply in terms of non-farm payrolls being a fundamental event that creates a technical level. We have the exact same setup on Qs, with the one caveat here is that QQQ, and you probably can't see this, so let me make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to make this line red. This is the downtrend. So from a trend count before coming into this, the Qs was definitively in consolidation, meaning we had both lower highs and higher lows. So this is a lower high. This is a lower high than that, and this is a higher low than these two right here. And we're still seeing higher lows and potentially higher lows over here, but equal highs. We're not breaking structure. So what I will say is I do not have an uptrend on the Qs just yet. It's sorry, we'll cut this half time.
Yeah, we don't need to go live on this.
But when you connect this high, and you get a little confluence, there's a couple things to note here. One, this was actually a pretty solid pullback on the Qs. I think it's more in limbo than SPY, but right here, this is the first break of that downtrend, the prevailing downtrend. And a lot of trend traders will see this potentially as a potential move. If the Qs actually gets over Friday's high with strength and holds, which it did a little bit today, that's going to be a more explosive trade than SPY at this point. But also be very cautious too, because this can be a more explosive move to the downside at the same time, especially where this is. So Qs has more volatility moving forward than something like SPY. And I think that's my biggest note to take away here. So if Qs breaks down and you're a trader, like near-term trader, those Microsofts and things like that actually might be your better targets for more volatility than trying to chase those long, especially if this does not break to the upside. But if it does, they'll have a little extra beta right now. All right.
Okay, so let's do one of the names that's in the queues, which is Meta. And by the way, guys, for the people that can't see the ticker, I'm just going to put a little bubble on the screen so you guys know what ticker we're on.
You want me to change that? I mean, I could change it.
How do you change it?
You want me to change it? I can change it. Give me 1 sec to change it.
You can make it a little darker or something?
Yeah. Where's watermark? Symbol. Canvas. Lines. Oh my goodness. Watermark here. I can make it like white.
Yeah, maybe that helps.
It'll look like that.
It kind of messes the chart up though. Is that okay, guys? Real quick, guys, in the chat. Is that good? Yes. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, but W or L. W or L. It's not a big deal, right?
I'll put it at 50%. Opacity.
Yeah, opacity is a little lighter is better.
Okay, so this is a Meta, and when I swap around, you'll see this is a what time frame chart. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
okay,
so this
cool.
is a 4-hour chart for Meta. I always, when I'm using anything less than a 1-day chart, I'm actually using extended hours, so those are turned on. You might not be able to see this. There's a lot of lines here, so let me take those off for a bit. We had the death cross on Meta over here, I think not too long ago. That still stays in play. And so what we're really looking for is like, does this low hold? And this low, as we look at it across, and I can zoom, there's a lot of support over for this area to act as support. And this was good. Also, when I turn these lines back on, it might get a little messy. So let me try and take some of this stuff down for you. But this is our chart that we've been using over multiple months on Meta. And so there are a couple things in play here. When we talked about this area right here for that just sub 600 price of interest, which I did buy Meta here, and I picked up a little bit right over here. That was two areas of confluence. One, what we call like a volume point of control, massive consolidation. That's long-term support. That's heavy support, strong support. But as we bounce, we needed to see it get through this 634 level, which also comes from really like over here, this consolidation. And it also happens to be a 50% retracement from this area all the way to this area. So from this low to this here, this is 50%. Sorry, and this is this is what we call like a fib, is 0.618. And so between that like in this box, that is what we call like a golden zone, or it's like golden zone. Generally speaking, a good retracement area. I personally like to be a little snipier, so I'll grab the bottom of that box. But and the odds of this coming up was very high from here to here, and then if I'm a good bull, I need to know where the bears are. So I had to do the same thing from this area here to this low. What does a 50% retracement of this range here to here look like? And that is exactly 688. And that's where we stopped at a dime. So it's all right. We know we need to have a little breathing room. Right here, right now, this is where I would need to see Meta actually hold support to stay somewhat bullish. Otherwise, I'm legitimately at risk of seeing that sub 600 spot show up one more time. So where Meta is, it is at risk. Do I think the next low is probably actually the low? I tend to believe it will be. The question is, do I get that 600 spot one more time for a little something like this? And so this is best case scenario for Meta. I think in reality, or this is what I believe, not best case. Best case scenario for Meta is that it just goes up. But what I believe is legitimately going to happen is that we have a little chop and consolidation, because this run from 600 to 630 was pretty quick. And so I think that the market wants to fill this in, and it might show up as a little liquidity grab right in here again. And I want to see that hold. That is strong support. I want to see that hold, and I want to see it break back over 644 or 640, give or take, where we are. And if that's the case, then I can see that 688 one more time and this area one more time as well. But
is this price 630? Is this at all a buy zone for you?
It depends on your time horizon. So again, as a trader, no. As an investor, actually, yes. So it's a little nuanced here, because if you're an investor and you want to find a spot on the chart that should be general support to create a base and move higher, if your time horizon is long enough, meaning if you're not thinking like, oh, this is going to bounce up tomorrow or even next week for that matter, yeah, this is a dip buy area right in here. Ideally as close to 600 as you can, and hope to God that holds. That's what we call like a good risk to reward trade. You're taking a long trade at support, with the one caveat that I will say is that because we would be taking, as an investor, you would be taking an investment, you would be buying an investment at support. If support breaks, well, then then the trade flips on you and you go down a little bit deeper. But that's the highest risk to reward. You do have earnings coming soon, so I will say that. To me, I think this is potentially just a little bit of a dip buy. I still think that 700 is intact, but again, your time horizon matters. And if we're below like 550, no, this is not happening. And what is more likely than happening? Sorry, what is more likely happening than not is this kind of like general pullback, which would suck. But I don't think, I mean, something really bad would have to happen. And I don't have any fundamental reason why that would happen right now. So for me, that's just not in the cards as either an investor or a trader. I think that's maybe a little cuckoo. I don't know. Meta is very high beta, but I think tomorrow is going to be a very important day. Do we get, and even next week, do we get a pullback into 600 before earnings, which may set Meta up for a pretty decent earnings move,
right?
Or do we rally higher now, which sets up Meta for a less than ideal earnings move, quite frankly. So I would prefer as an investor to see this come down a little bit more and have a better risk reward going into the earnings report. But as a trader, I can see this as something that I could trade towards 600 for. Actually, I saw a lot of volume on even next week's 600 puts from Meta. So it would happen very quickly. Meta's high beta from a price perspective. So it wouldn't surprise me.
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. So generally speaking, as we get into earnings season, it's typically a good idea to be long NVIDIA, not while NVIDIA reports, but while the other Mag 7s are reporting, assuming that they're going to talk about how much more CapEx they're going to spend this year. And that, in theory would all go towards NVIDIA. But is that what happens this quarter, or do people talk about saving money on NVIDIA and buying Tritium or TPUs? That's, I think, is in question, custom silicon. And maybe what we're seeing in this hesitation on NVIDIA, it's sitting exactly where the market has decided the fair value is for this stock. And I mean, like literally sitting on support. So it's building support. Is this strong
it's the
support?
tightest range we've ever seen for NVIDIA.
It absolutely is. Is it strong support? Actually, no, because if this is where NVIDIA is going to build support, that means that people want to get like that discount buy down toward in the 170s. And that in reality is where we've been seeing them buy this stock in like 160 to low 170s to 160s to mid 160s. And I can easily see in this setup, Meta or NVIDIA is definitively in a consolidation range. I mean, there's no ifs, ands about it. And the 200-day simple sits around low 160s. So if there's any kind of apprehension into, I can see something like that happening, but I don't see a reason for this to fully break down. That would really just set up another dip buy here. Does this go like now? I think that's going to depend on the rhetoric of the market and what is the storyline of the market. And if it does, my target would really only be 195 to 200 on NVIDIA short term. So again, that could happen within a week and still have more consolidation. And I would see something like this, which quite frankly, like I said, again, is actually super healthy to see this entire area or this entire general area become support, like all of this. And that's what we're starting to see in the chart is like, are people building a position and where are they building it? The discount zone.
I think the question is also who's the new net buyer of NVIDIA stock? Given
who's the new net and what do you have for me next, right? Because the market is always forward looking, and NVIDIA has been it's been moving based on forward looking stuff. I think the robotics thesis is there. All this stuff is there. What's the thing that we haven't talked about that NVIDIA is going to capture that is like going to be a free call option, if you will, on the equity? So until we have that, for sure, what I'm seeing in the chart is that NVIDIA is in a phase of growing into their price, if you will. I don't even know what the multiple is here. I actually don't think it's expensive, but it's just the chart's telling me, hey, look, I need another reason, something that I don't know about now, to get me more excited about NVIDIA next. And there's no reason, by the way, to sell it at the moment either. So I'm just going to hang on to it, and it's going to be where it is until I have that next reason.
Trump just posted, under my stewardship, the economy is booming. A manufacturing renaissance and soaring household incomes are powering GDP gains that haven't been seen in decades. We are undergoing a disinflationary boom. The private sector is growing by over 5%, thanks to the most business investment we've ever seen, maybe in history, and inflation trends are looking good. All the smart money knows the hottest economy in the world is the USA. Time to invest.
Yeah, we've been talking about that in the last few TTs and in my streams over the last few weeks. I also believe this is very disinflationary, which is a good job for Powell. It's the definition of a soft landing. So we go from inflationary, reinflation to disinflation to reinflation to disinflation, but we're hovering around Goldilocks. 4-something% GDP is heavy. So the question is like, can we sustain that type of GDP? And from a market perspective, an economic and fundamental perspective, at 4.5 plus GDP, what does that do to inflation? And does that run us too hot? And I think that's a little of the apprehension that we see.
Yeah, and then you have this NVIDIA headline right here that the Commerce Department is agreeing to allow NVIDIA to sell to China, but they're saying Chinese imports can't exceed 50%, and they're going to have a third party check each chip to make sure that it's not more powerful than it is. That also applies to AMD, by the way, for that MI325 to go to China.
Dude, you know what stock has been like blowing my mind right now, and that I'm like, what am I going to do about this? Is Intel, dude. Like, what is happening?
Don't even. Dude, I was going to send it on Intel at 30 seconds. I was going to buy so much because I was like,
we talked about it for a while.
Trump's not going to let it fail. Like, it's just so simple.
And I think that's the one, like, who has, this is the market right now. It's very kind of wishy-washy, but it's all about the rhetoric and who has the tailwinds at what point in time. That's it. NVIDIA has had the benefit of having a lot of tailwinds for a long time. So NVIDIA, it's more about like, what's the next one, right? Whereas some of these others are getting a little bit of maybe multiple expansion. And then eventually they'll come back to the Mag 7. But in the meantime, the Mag 7 just kind of like sits there. It doesn't have to go lower. That's not what I was saying before. What I was saying before is that they might not outperform as handily as they have in the past for a time, and then we'll see how it goes.
Robinhood, what do you think to start off the year?
I mean, I'm actually happy with our $100 cover calls. I think that was a very good call. I have a similar trade. So $100 cover calls is a manufactured win right here, regardless. I think it's still at risk. I actually love the crypto setup as a whole. I think that between now, I guess in a couple weeks, so we're going to come into earnings season mid-February, I believe, on Hoodie. And this is probably going to be their biggest quarter ever for event contracts. The question to me is, does the market reward that immediately and hold that reward? Or do they look at it as like, oh, this is a seasonal thing. We're going to take all that benefit away that we gave to you because we don't know if it's going to go again. But again, here's the broad consolidation. This is a series of lower highs is what it is. I'm at support. I also have a series of higher lows. So it's been pushing, I mean, like right on this area. And sorry, guys, I know I have a lot of lines here, so let me try and take some of this off. This was the prior breakout at 113, which is near term support. That's where this gray box is. I'll take this off for right now. And that's where we're seeing buyers kind of step in right around this 113, 112 area, which is from this prior breakout over here. So we don't need that anymore. The bigger dip buy into stronger support was near that $100 level where I talked about picking up before. But here it is. This is a measure move. I'll take that down for right now. It's stuck in between the 20 and 50-day SMAs. This could go either way. So any kind of bounce here, I can easily see this going to 130, and that's still a lower high. And I can see this continuing to go sideways. So it's not going to be until I really break through and then I hold levels that I get this, which is what I'm looking for longer term. But I know in the meantime, this is kind of like a hopeful situation right now. I would love to say 175 is happening for sure, but I don't have that trigger just yet. I don't have a reason to say it's not happening either. I can just say that there's a new base of investors showing up, and it's from this general area right here where I thought, quite frankly, we would be looking at hoodie right now around $100 based on this existing trajectory. It's still possible, but right now I have a handful of buyers that continue to step in around that 112, 113 area. I'd like to see them step in higher, but today it's at support. It's at at resistance rather. It's where it broke just before. And so here now, it's a watch also. It's consolidation, constructive, but also at risk. So I'm just going to stay the course, not going to touch this thing until I see like broad trending above this existing downtrend line here, which is really like, this is still consolidation. Again, investing, this is more investment for me personally than it is a trade. So even if this dips, I think the question for me is like, what does a solid dip look like? And a solid dip, like, look, if I see this in the 90s or 80s, really 70s, I'm probably, we'll open some reverse mortgages if we have to. but yeah, your boy might be taking some loans out just because. But yeah, I love the company. The stock is chilling. That's what's true. The stock is just hanging tough. Shocks me all the time.
I agree. And also, I think we just have to remember Robinhood is not the same company it was last year. It's a better company, but it's not a $20 billion market cap anymore. So the street's just going to have a higher expectation. That's okay. That's what happens when you get mature companies. But the fact that it pumped to 120 today because of Bitcoin, it's been stuck at 116 for the past 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, like the street's looking for any catalyst to take this higher.
Crypto looks good. Yes. And so that last sentiment, the street's looking for any catalyst to take this higher. Look, I think that's how it is with general fintechs and anyways, but hoodies is still a special stock. It hasn't lost that luster, if you will. It's still nearly one of a kind. And it's special. Like it's still special to me and to the market right now until I see people throwing it like straight up in the garbage. Even if I see them throwing in the garbage, I'm going in the garbage after it and I'm picking it up. So I don't know what to say.
Tesla.
TASI. So Tesla is where I thought it would be. I think, in this general consolidation, it had a little bit of a break. This is the uptrend. Let me redo this, Tessie. So this is the uptrend, this line here. Sorry, guys. We've done Technical Tuesdays for so long. My TT charts are getting so busy, man. Like it's crazy. This white line here, we could call it orange, but that is the biggest 215 or 415 spot. That's the big number that remains support. That is major support. This uptrend is general trend support, but again, this one also very much in consolidation. So I mean, to me, this is one where I saw it as like, oh, look, this could be consolidation. We hit this 490, which was that prior high. At that point, I personally sold some $400 cover calls for like a year out and manufactured myself like a 580 exit price on this. And it's continued to go sideways for a bit. That 425 is a decent pickup, but based on this trend line, but it's hovering there. If this line gets lost, 415, it's not about this line so much, but it's more about, forget the line. Lines are just lines, but it's about that 415 is such a psychological level for so many years on Tesla. It makes sense that this is going sideways for a while. And so I think that this holds. So even if this uptrend breaches for just a little while, I don't mind taking a stab here only for that to get reclaimed and start pushing higher. And maybe that's what it needs to get through there. But again, a lot of these things, we have earnings coming towards the end of the month. We're still in a space where we could have some pre-earnings. It's either going to be a pre-earnings run-up or pre-earnings jitters. We're coming off of some of the best earnings reports that we've seen in a very long time. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing some like pre-earnings sell-offs that are just really just jitters and end up being not as bad as feared. And that is what pushes the stocks higher, generally speaking. But Tesla in consolidation, you got to wait for a bit. The biggest concern is this what we call a look above and fail? And that would happen literally right here by a downward move on Tesla. Otherwise, it's very much like the Qs. Like we're right on that trend line. So I'm going to know very soon. Trading, by the way, different than investing. Trading is very much if this, then that. So what I'm looking for is an if this. If Tesla is over, call it the 455, then we're going to 490s one more time and maybe even higher. And what would higher look like? Higher would look like this is and has always been in the 600s or higher for me. But just on that one, it would be about 550 if Tessie is over basically the 20-day and holding, then likely 550 for the next move. Otherwise, 415 is where I want to look for support. And I haven't broken that, so I don't have a reason to really be short Tesla in any broader sense.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think, obviously, Elon is getting very, very excited for the future of Tesla. One of the C-suites just got a package that forces him to vest his shares for 5 years. And if he does, he makes like $5 billion. So it seems like management is more incentivized than not.
Did you hear Chamath's prediction on like Tesla or like Elon does not take SpaceX public through IPO and just merges it with Tesla?
I don't think it happens, but
Dude, that'd be wild. That would be insane.
That would be pretty insane if it does happen. Rocket Lab.
The lab of rockets.
Which I believe you were buying pretty heavy, around 50.
Dude, I missed the $16 buy though. Unfortunately, we talked. Dude, they don't remember because I deleted the lines because I was so upset. But we had lines all down here at 16. But yeah, I bought this level for sure. It was 38s. Thank you very much. But we'd outlined that on Technical Tuesday just recently, and the call was for this to be a triple-digit stock, which, quite frankly, is still in the cards. It's a little toppy, but even today, look, I'm looking at this. It's the sentiment, right? So the space crew is strong, space crew is long. I don't know what to tell you. Right now, this is a little bit of a breakout retest. I can see this happening sooner than later. 93, I think is a very high probability as long as this holds literally just this most recent breakout of the week. Just this week, we had a new all-time high, which was a breakout of this consolidation. And so it's very simply, look, I need that that breakout to hold. It's currently a retest like right now. It doesn't take me much further, but it does take me to that 93, at which point that's about, it doesn't have to be triple digits. So just as FYI, 97 is going to be good enough for me for triple digits, and I'll say target acquired. But for now, yeah, this is actually looking pretty good. Let me just do a health check on this trend to see that we're not actually already to the first one. So this was that last. Yeah, so I'm seeing the same thing. Hold 86s, get over 90, boom. Next stop, definitively 93, then potentially triple digits after that. And that's exactly what I'm seeing on the current technicals. Broad trend is just, I don't even need to go on a trend count because this is just very clearly higher highs and higher lows across the board. So sentiment matters. News flow will probably matter, but the technicals right now, I don't have anything to be worried about just yet.
SOFI.
SOFI. This is the 10%, whatever. It's a credit card also. But I mean, I got this. SOFI is sending me updates because I finally broke down and I was like, well, let me just talk to these people for a little bit. And they're like, I get some crypto. What is it they're pushing today? Crypto bonus. Are they doing crypto or something? Anyways.
I mean, they just brought back crypto like last month. So
yeah, I can't even find, don't forget your $10 crypto bonus. I'm getting a lot of push notifications. Unlock your dream home. So anyways, look, 25s was the last time I was like, all right, I can take a stab at this. It's also in consolidation. This is just pretty sideways, man. Let me just put that back. So this is the uptrend here, and this is from a very long perspective. So I don't think that you need to be in a big rush for SOFI, but if I took even this kind of stuff, or even just these more recent lows, they are slightly higher while this continues to consolidate, like in this general area. And then so in this area here, this is your trend, which is still struggling to get through that 32. But I can see another push towards 32 like this. And honestly, with earnings coming, I can see that happening as a pre-earnings run up, but then fail back down to 28 and then continue on that way. So that's kind of what I see in SOFI's chart right now. Sorry for the chicken scratch, but it's kind of a sloppy chart, quite frankly. So that is what it is. I think support is still being defined, just like similar to NVIDIA, with 24 and change having to hold. Like I don't want to see that lose 24 and change. Otherwise, I'm looking deeper. But for right now, it's just trying to hug that upper piece of this. This was our broadening channel from 15s that we charted a long time ago.
It feels like it's consolidating the high 20s like it did the high teens for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And that should realize a $30 breakout, but
in time. So again, trading versus investing, this is not it's in time, like months, many months maybe, unless there's a catalyst. It needs a reason. It needs a reason to get going.
Amazon.
So first target acquired. And we are way in there. So from the lows here, 220s in this area, we're looking at up to here. And then when we break through here, we're looking at up here. Today, or this last week, target definitively, this was the target, acquired. And I think I did go over, this is definitely an active trade for me. This is what we call a fair value gap. And I think I gave this to you guys during the show. But generally speaking, 250, I think it's a psychological level. From here, what I see from Amazon is a bit of some chop. So I can actually see this go down to 237, and this trend is completely intact. 237, essentially, I'm looking for this general area here to hold as support. And if it can, that's going to be super constructive. It's still in consolidation, meaning like this is the box, but this is a setup for, this is the box here. So we're closer to the highs of the box where I want to be a little bit more cautious, maybe not press the highs for a breakout. And longer term here, I'll pull this back to a daily, maybe. Longer term, I'm looking at, we got to be careful here. So we have a heavy breakout, not just what I was looking at, but long-term support is being built. That is a big, if I were to say, hey, look, Amit, this is like a little flag consolidation. What do we want to do? Make it clean. No lines. And we're essentially saying here, look, this is the general area of support where that's a breakout here. This is what we call a look above and fail. So that's no good, right? We've held the bottom of support here. That's good. Higher low. And we've now breached back up above. And so what I want to see is this can come up and this can come back and retest. As long as it holds here, dude, this is what I'm looking for. But we have earnings coming. And I think this is very much TBD. So I don't want to press my bets here. I want to know where we are in the consolidation. Can this entire area here become support? That would be amazing for the year rally. So does Amazon keep its crown or its seat at the table of the Mag 7 or whatever we call it next? It's very possible. And honestly, that would be would be my bet. Can I see this pull back to something like this and then bounce back up? Absolutely. You betcha. I would be expecting something like that. And that this is a daily chart on a higher time frame is exactly what I was just kind of outlining on a smaller time frame. So perspective matters. Trading versus investing. Am I looking at this in a very short-term myopic, view? I'm actually not. And so because of that, I can see this type of a pullback coming in and consolidating in this general area like that. And I will be happy and stay long. So this actually looks good for me, but do I want to press my bet here? No, I'd be more inclined to be looking for that next dip buy closer, like in the mid 230s.
Okay, cool. So let's go to the one that's getting all the love this year. The GOOGL, which cannot slow down.
Le GOOGL. Le GOOGL. Look at how busy our technical Tuesday charts are getting, my dude. You've been charting for so long now. You're almost going to be a pro. Or at least the crew is. So I'll drop this back.
I only use RSI. That's all I need.
Oh my God, you're so fired. Like that's the one I would say trash it. Unless you're saying oversold is good, then go ahead. Right?
Dude, above 70 sell.
We love oversold. Stocks stay oversold for a long time, and those are the best performance that you will find. It's not a sell signal. It never is. Anyways, yeah. So I don't use RSI. I use an oscillator that's down here on my chart. By the way, these are called oscillators. And this is telling me that we're in an active squeeze if you wanted to use it that way. What I do have is I have something called divergence, and I'm not going to go into full-blown training here, but if I had, from my oscillator perspective, this is the high on here on the oscillator, and this is the high of the chart right over here. I actually have a lower high. So you have something called divergence. I have a lower high and a higher high on the chart. So between the RSI or whatever oscillator you're using, RSI will show you the same thing. The RSI is going to be lower than the chart is from the last area. So that is what's called bearish divergence, believe it or not. It looks good from a chart perspective. Today's candle is a little toppy. So if the general trend is to pull back, I think that this is fine. Bearish divergence, by the way, does not mean sell. It means take a breath. It means take a breather, maybe pump the brakes a little bit. Nothing's broken, but it needs a little bit more consolidation. Today is a good indicator. We're open on the highs, closing on the lows, or near the lows, locking the highs midday. I want to just watch this, right? So where this is now is that we are, see, that's not what you had in mind, is it? I don't know, but where this is the last high over here, 333. What's good is that we're holding that, but this is trading, again, not investing. As long as we can hold that general 230 area, I want to see buyers come back in strength and show me a break of this area here, show me a retest, and new buyers come in to push that higher. That's what I need to see. So that's all this bearish divergence is showing me right now. Needs a breather. Or Google being Google, all year I will say it's been like dumping this divergence and overbought signals. It's just been thrown in the trash. But this is constructive. And I think this is fine. Upside, I would say, is like, the thing is, it's not a lot higher. It's somewhere in the 350s. Right in this area. But this is where I'm looking at Meta or Amazon, the chart that we were just looking at, very similarly. If this is that consolidation, look, we have the first breakout. First breakout is not the one that I ever want to chase. I never want to chase that. I'm usually looking for a retest and hold, and that's exactly what I just said. And so from here, that would be ideal. Again, this gives me upside targets, generally speaking, around 350 for that next move higher on Google.
Do you think it has the juice to get there, or you think it's getting way too?
Yeah, for sure. Especially when we look at what I was just talking about for Meta, the story that I'm seeing play out in something like a Meta chart. Sorry, the heater. Is that, look, maybe it's competition from a cloud perspective to Amazon and Microsoft, but GCP has always been the smaller of the three, and there are a lot of other reasons now. Before, GCP was like the main reason to buy Google, and now there's like many other reasons to buy Google. So I don't even know that Google was ever really getting the credit that it needed or deserved for their cloud offering. But it's just not mattering here because people want to own it for a lot of other reasons besides that. So I like it. Does it pull back? I think probably a little bit, but I wouldn't be disturbed on this one. Microsoft on the other side of this is a different story though.
Yeah, and we'll do Microsoft.
You want to look at Microsoft real quick?
Oh yeah, we might as well. Right now, this one's been stuck at 4. It's down from 5.
No, this looks ugly. This is not a good looking chart.
Yeah.
So the last dip here, it's gotta be right here. So 468 was that last time I bought this, and I'm already getting retested. So I was always like, this is a good spot for that first one. I got, like, from a trading perspective, like a 5% bounce or something, like out of the gate, which is pretty good. But right here, right now, so as of the other day, this is below all significant simple moving averages in a different way. Like if I were to look at Apple's 200-day, which is this red line here, and I'll just show you really quick. Apple's 200-day, it's way above the 200-day. Well, Apple, yeah, looks like it could come in. It's still not going to lose the broader trend. This is more like a Netflix chart, so it's a little bit more concerning. This is more like Netflix at 117, 120. We tried to get back above into that over that 490 area, and it was like met with a lot of sellers. So this one, still, I wouldn't trash it as an investor, definitely not. But what I could easily see here is if this prior all-time high at 468 does not hold, which is basically what we retested right now. I have a couple fibs on here just to show you. There's from this low to this high, the next area of support is in this box right here, which quite frankly would be a breakout of that downtrend and a retest and something I would be looking to get long, real long on, sub 450. But that's if we break 465 and we continue to trend lower, I can see that happening. It might not be until like earnings or something like that, but you got a handful of reasons to be on the more cautious side here from adding than you do to being long. So you got a double top here, which is Amit's favorite Amit's favorite pattern. If that actually breaks down a measured move, another level of confluence to get me into those 430 areas, sub 450, that's the whole pattern of that double top breaking out or playing out rather. Look, that takes me to 430. I like the 430 level. There's a lot of confluence there. For a good bounce, this is that prior consolidation low is 415. So somewhere in this area, like this general. So this is my box. Let's say this would be that playing out. But my buy level box would be like in here. Generally speaking, personally, I'll be a buyer sub 430 and as close to 400s as I can. And I think that would be a good longer term pickup other than exactly where we are right here. I think right here is fine, but it's teetering on the edge. If it falls, I'm not going to be a seller of Microsoft, but I'm going to be looking for a lower dip to buy in the 430s. Or maybe a little bit lower if it gets stupid, if it gets aggressive. Because I mean, Microsoft's not a bad company by any means, but from a chart perspective, I can see this happening pretty quickly, which would set up a pretty solid buy for 2026 through 2027, and maybe later. Still putting this out of like a 600+ target, but I love this pickup even better if I get it.
Okay, so Jason, can you go to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Is it going to be green?
It's going to be really green.
All right. Well, I know they're longs. But
I don't have an actual headline, guys, but ETH's up 7, Bitcoin's at 90, touch 96. I don't trust it, though. Let me just say that before we get started. This shit happens every other day. Today, it's it's 3,300 instead of 32. I am not.
Which one did you want me to go to? Vidi or ETH?
Let's do ETH, but like, I'm just getting tired of getting my hopes up. Like,
dude, your hopes were wrong. I thought I reset them a long time ago, though.
No, I mean, look, honestly, the price action towards the end of the year reset my hopes. But like, I don't know why it's pumping right now, but is it at all sustainable? Well, that's a good point. It's not really pumping. It's up $100. Like, yeah, it's not. But the point is, for the past 5 weeks, it's never been sustainable when it broke out to new levels. So I don't know why it would be this time. I hope it is, but this is the one. Like, I don't know. Is this the one?
What do you mean the one? So you got to take that logic and just throw it in the trash when it comes to crypto. The one. Listen, if you're investing, you're not looking for the one, right? Like, you can be happy, but crypto is. Look, so weekly chart, I'll take all the drawings off.
Like, I mean, what happens if this goes back to 3,100? Like, this is like
absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So here's your consolidation, right?
This is your headline, by the way. U.S. senators introduce long-awaited bill to set crypto market rules. That's good. That's bullish. I don't know if that's enough to get us back to 4,000 or, like, that's the issue.
Yeah. I don't know. I need a new color. I think, can I do pink on this? Pink. Here's your uptrend in there, right? Here's your downtrend in here. New lines, right? And this is where we are. Literally, this is a weekly chart, by the way, right? And if this were, I'll do yellow. I can't do white on this stupid tool. But if this were to go up all the way up to 35. What is this chart? It's nothing, right? It's nothing. It could come down, and then even if I saw this go up to here, what is this chart? Very normal is what it is, right? And to be expected. So should you expect this? Yes. Is this a pump to all-time highs? Dude, it's way early to be talking about that because, again, this is your consolidation. So taper the expectations. At this point, can we come back down, retest, and do this some more? Oh, you betcha. Should you expect it? Probably, right? Like, I'm not going to get excited until I see. What I have to see is I actually have to see this line breach, and that's not for a long time. And then this. That's honestly what I do think is very possible. But look at the time on this. This is 2027, dude. So like if your thought is that Biddy is or ETH, if your thought is that ETH is going to be exploding tomorrow, dude, you were never in the right. Like it was never happening like that, because look where we are. We're very far. Like this is one massive consolidation. So is it a time to pick it up? Yeah. Like, but I walk through the entire crew, the channel here, my followers on Twitter, at the last entry being $2,600 and $2,628 and 67 cents, almost, I mean, nearly to the penny. And that was the last dip buy. From here, we're at consolidation. We're still inside this right now. Do I think that we go to 35? I do. I really do. I'm pretty positive that we do. But do we go farther than that? I need to tradings. If this, then that.
Yeah.
And so I need to see more. That's because that's not going to be good enough for me. Do we have a lot of good rhetoric? Yeah, but we've had that for a long time, right? Do I have a heavy base right here that's showing me like super bullish, new base building of new buyers? Absolutely. Am I seeing this breakout? You betcha. But this takes me to 3,500 or give or take. And if we can get through, this was the buy, right? In this area, this buy, any of these retest here, that's fine. Those are all buys. But am I chasing here? No. What I will say, I'm watching this space very closely. And I don't think that you're going to know the tell right away in the Ethereum chart or the Bitcoin chart. I think you're looking in the wrong space. Yeah, I think that you want to go back to the original alts, and you want to go back and look at your old Cardanos, your Avalanche, your layer 2, layer 3 blockchains, or like layer 1s that maybe not so, like Algo is a layer 1. And those will tell a story way before Ethereum because of exactly where they are on the charts. They are at their absolute lows, which is probably a better buy even than Ethereum here. And if those can break through their levels, we will see Ethereum breach. We will see Bitcoin breach. It will probably be Bitcoin first and then Ethereum. But these alts, where they are right now, like lower tier, layer 1s, layer 2s, not the meme tokens. I'm not talking about like Doge or anything like that. But if those do well, that's going to tell you a very clear story about general sentiment. Like if people they're already in Ethereum, they're already in Bitcoin, but they weren't yet in the lower tier alts, and that would be alt season that pushes us higher. If we get that sustained move, all of this is a foregone conclusion that yes, this is the one. But until then, TBD. But they're looking very constructive off the absolute lows.
And if you go to Bitcoin chart, I think
what
you would say the same analysis applies to Bitcoin on their chart as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bitcoin looks good. Bitcoin looks very good. This was the last lows. Like we're here. This consolidating. I wanted sub 70s or in the 70s. I didn't get it. I got a better discount available on Ethereum. But here, and we talked about it weeks ago when we talked about that dip buy, was like, look, this is, I think you asked me, is that a good price? And I said, yes, it's a good discounted price, but is it the breakout price? No. You remember saying that or having that conversation for Ethereum? I had the discounted price on ETH, but I didn't have it on Bitcoin that I wanted to see. Look, I'm never going to sell any more Bitcoin. I've run amok in Vegas, and I've sold way more Bitcoin than I cry whenever I think about the Bitcoin that I sold. I sold it at the relative highs for the time, but it was like $9,000 and $15,000 that I sold a lot of Bitcoin, guys. I cry whenever I think about it. And so no, I'm done selling. I don't really care what happens this personally. It can come down another 50% and I'm still not selling. But anyways, this is constructive. We're heading up into resistance one more time. I think that you can see 103s from this move right here, right now. So we held what's called this golden kind of like zone. Again, I think this trajectory takes you to about 103 right here. And from there, I think it's TBD one more time. If you get another move, cool. It's to 108.5. That's where the bulls, that's where the bears are living. So just like a meta chart, just like whoever, that's where you want to be cautious. I think this takes you into the six-figure mark again, and then expect a little bit of a pullback. And again, you play this tape out. It's a little bit of pullback, some more chop. If you get a breakout here, that's good. So in essence, was this a discounted price? Yeah, for sure. Because I think this does get into this general over 100K level and retest that prior breakdown one more time. And it's about this. The question is going to be, what did the people do that bought it over 100K when Bitcoin gets back to 100K? Do they sell or do they continue to buy? What do the people do when Ethereum gets back to 4,500 after, putting their life savings into ETH at 4,500, think it's going to go to 10K right away? Do they sell because they're burned, or do they hold and buy more? That's the question.
I would agree. And look, I think all of us want this thing to pump. It would help Hood, Coin, BMNR, et cetera. It's just, it's a show right now.
This is I'm just randomly pulling this. And I know I'm way over time, but this is Algorand. This is layer one. It may be a lesser known one. But it's not like, look, when I'm talking about these other alts being off the lows, that's off the lows, man. That's what off the lows means. So like this is off the lows. And so if these alts, like I'm talking about, even my Avalanche is way down there. It was at $11 the other day. I actually bought it again, right? If we're off these lows, what happens to these guys? If these guys get the move, I'm talking, you want to see breaks. First of all, these are like much bigger opportunities. So I really don't care about Ethereum or Bitcoin. But like if this gets over 16, right? It's 30 easily. It's $11 or $14 right now. It's 30. And then we'll see, right? That's probably going to be resistance, but that's a press. What's another one? Not XRP. I don't like XRP, guys. HBAR, beautiful. I think if Ripple Labs, side note, I think if Ripple Labs, do you know what HBAR does?
This is the Kevin O'Leary one.
Well, it tokenized physical assets. That's kind of like their shtick.
Yeah, that's why.
So if you believe in that story, this is generally a decent spot. But these are at better buy levels even than an Ethereum, as you can see on the charts from a longer term view. So I think this is at least where you want to look. If these guys take off, that's the broad sentiment. So my point is to watch the alts. These are called the alts, and see, is there real sentiment that's broadening within the cryptoverse? And it's no different for them. If the cryptoverse has a broadening statement across the board, that's healthy, right? Like that's healthy. I'm not even having my stupid link. I bought this thing at 30 cents in ICO. Anyways.
No, I think that makes sense around crypto. Let's get into the data center plays. IREN. Yeah. What do you think about this one?
IREN 56. XRP, I would just be cautious. I think Ripple Labs IPOs, and they say to the market, we don't have anything to do with Ripple, the token XRP. And then you might have something on your hands. But this is starting to be the beginnings of a bullish, bearish to bullish kind of reversal. We outlined this last one. I think it was last ET. I was like, look, this is going to bounce. We look a lot better here than we did before. I have 56 on my next level. It's actually $56.11. That's the first spot where the bears will show up. I don't know that I need 5 minutes on this one, but that is prior resistance. I think that this can actually get all the way up to 63s before the bears really show up, but it's right here and then right in here. Nebius is actually probably even a better looking chart. I haven't looked at it today, but this is the first piece of that. This $33 level was from the inception lows that we measured on our show here last time, all the way down here to that high. Let me just move this to a 3 hour so you can see where I literally pinched it after our high from absolute lows. that's a textbook pullback from a fib perspective. And then holding that $42 level here, this was the trade that's in motion right now. So this trade is well underway. That's what that target is. But it's nearing the peak. You can get this, but also be cautious when you get there. What I would be looking for is some kind of pullback like this to, in reality, get something like that. So that puts it around 48s. Even if IREN gets slapped, and as long as it can hold the general 40, 48, 47 area, that's going to be fairly bullish, and that this whole section becomes support right in here. And that's what you'd want to see.
Nebius.
Okay.
You know, maybe
Chart has these notes on it.
I have some male astrology for why Nebius is going to pump. Okay. Nebius's all-time high was 140, and I just put the timestamp in the chat. We got to Nebius literally at 140.00.
Nice. In the chat, who remembers?
I think that means we're pumping over 140. That's
who remembers the target on Nebius? A minute.
The buy target, it was like 80.
No, the sell target.
Oh, so I don't remember that actually.
See, that's why you still have some work on the trading area. You have the entries, but then you forget about the exits.
It's because I don't trade. That's the problem.
All right, yeah. So the 80s, this is the big old text emit. These are actually little alarm clocks that you're seeing on my chart. That is alarms that go off whenever Nebius gets there. So maybe you got one text, but you never got the other one. This was going to be the big buy. 58s didn't come to fruition just yet. I'm going to do two things here. So we're going to take from this swing high to this swing low. This, by the way, is a 50% retracement. If you didn't know, from this all-time low to this all-time high, or swing low, swing high. And that's why that was the level of interest. Plus I had confluence of this area over here. That's a little bit of the backstory, where that came from, blah, 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 blah. Go look at some replays. 108.24 is the target right now. So just like this is like IREN at 56. So from here to 108, that's target one. Check that box, acquired. Technically, as a trader, you should be trimming at this point, which means sell. If it continues, sell partial. If this continues, 118 is, as a trader, 118 is the next level. That's really where the bears live. And if we can get up and over 108 and hold it, if we can hold 108, 118s, which is a $10 move, is like a very extreme high probability move. We don't have that yet. So that is your if this, then that. If we're over 108 and a quarter, which is what this is, 108.24, then 116s or so, it's a $10 move, give or take. That is a tradable range right there. Until then, I have to consider this target acquired, and I can expect some kind of a pullback. So what kind of a pullback can I look for? Which means as an investor, I want to stay bullish. What can this come back to and me reasonably try to pick this up for? It can come all the way back to 88 and still be completely valid. So if that happens, this is what we would want to see as support area over here. You're kind of in an active breakout, which means you just let it ride or take some profit along the way. But you now start looking for the next breakout, which can be as high as the low 90s or as low as the high 80s, somewhere in this general area that we want to see. If Nebius comes back down, that's where I want to see buyers step back in. My gut is that they step in force, which means like in a big way. Because this is probably one of the thematic buys of 2026, most likely. And again, measuring this move, if this becomes just a giant consolidation here, this range, first of all, we go back up to 140, but the extension takes us to the big two-handle number. That's $207.01 with a pit stop around 175. So that's the target on Nebius, is closer to 200 for the year. I'd say for the year. So that's a ways out, as long as everything does good. But your buys would be in the as close to 90 as you could for an investment perspective, from an investment perspective for a longer term swing position. It's more like positional trading, if you will. But yeah, I think that's NBIS in a nutshell. It's looking good. Can it pull back? Absolutely. I think it's buyable. Yay.
Okay. A new one for you.
Is it
ZETA.
though? We haven't done this in a while. So
I think we did this once a while ago, like a long time ago.
These are look, nothing's new to me because these are my lines, right? I don't know if this is from us or from someone else, but this was the trade from 19 to 25s. It's my gut is honestly, dude, that this is from our technical Tuesdays. The crew will know if this is us or not. But regardless, this is the trade that I had on deck from 19 to 25s. And you're, again, well on your way. If I were to even take this from here down here, and I'll say, hey, look, this is a base. I mean, yeah, that a lot of confluence into the 25s and then hang tight, right? It's not until it's over like 26 and a half that we can say, all right, 35s are in play. I can't say that yet. But between now and March, it's the season for something like a ZETA. I personally am more, it would be speculative for me, not like a big position. But from here, what you do want to know is that 2237 is that prior breakout level here. And so if you're going to be looking at ZETA for support, I'd be looking for support to show up under that level, or just there about around 22 is what I'd be looking for support to show up on for ZETA. And then kind of have a bit of a pullback retracement and then continue on its merry way up to that 26. That's probably like 30% just on equity alone. So that's not horrible. 20%. And then we'll see, right? So like ZETA is, what's the market cap here? I don't think this is
about 5 billion.
Yeah, it's 5 billion market cap. It doesn't take a lot for this to get to the 35. And it would still be a small company from that perspective. So yeah, even when you asked me about when we first talked about ZETA in the teens, which is the first time that we looked at it, my message then is like, look, if you want ZETA, if you want Oscar, you want these kind of names, they're good thematic names, but they're investments, not really trades so much. Like you want to buy and kind of hold this, and your thought process is, can this become the next the next APP or APLD or something like that, right? Can this take over where Trade Desk left off and take all that revenue from an advertising perspective? And I think that story holds true. So if you like ZETA, you don't like it just for this chart per se, but more of a much longer term perspective. If you want to invest, I think it's worth a flyer. Can we say it's going to be another, like Meta advertising, Google advertising type behemoth? Is way early. This is extremely, it's not enterprise. I would look at like a Braze as an equivalent, even for a smaller. I don't think it's real enterprise. Braze is a smaller cap, does the same kind of thing. It's how much is this? Actually, I think this would be bigger. 3.27 billion. So Braze is another one that does the same thing as ZETA. They would probably be competitors, one in SMB, one supposedly more geared toward enterprise. But I just don't know how much enterprise are really spending on them versus like a AppLovin or something like that.
That's fair. Grab.
Someone talks about Path. Path is another one. Kathy Woods. Path has come up so many times, and I'll pull up Grab. But just Path. Kathy sold a bunch of Path, and the more I think about it, I'm like, dude, she has a knack for selling the lows, right? Like she really does. So maybe it's a buy.
She had a lot.
Maybe it's a buy. Yeah. Here's what's like jumping out at me right now. So Grab did not break through for sure. This was the consolidation lows. We're tagging it right here. Do you buy this? No, I wouldn't buy this. I wouldn't sell it either.
I feel like 450 is closer at the target than 5.
That's actually that's the number, right? So it's in here, which is 450. Yeah. So this was the last lows. And essentially what we're looking at is like, now that this did not bounce through, you have a little bit of momentum to the downside, but in reality, so like what we're looking at is like, you remember this area here, we're looking at this revisiting these lows right in here. And so the question is like, all right, well, do these buyers who bought like here and here, are they going to wait for the discount that they saw before, which is exactly your point? It's in that 450 area. So do we get that little breach? It's possible. But this is not a breakout here. This is more of just the same as in like consolidation. So I don't have anything bad or good to say on Grab today. I think this just looks like it's, I think you've said it a lot of times. It's not about the charts as much as it is the longer term thesis. I was looking for that $5 496 area to hold. I got my dip buy here. I think that's happy where I'm at. I don't have a reason to go out and buy more right now. So I will not, but it's not a reason to sell it either. That's it. So like if I just started a position like in the 490s right here, I think it was just about 5. I mean, I'm basically at break even. I'm definitely not selling it. I just picked it up. This could easily pull back and do this. It doesn't even have to do that, by the way. Anything in here, it could just go sideways. And then if I sell it, dude, this is in a spot where if I sell it, I'm going to blink and it's going to be back over 550. I just know it. So like, I'm not really trying to sell. You got earnings coming, but yeah, it just looks like it's just massive consolidation, which, you know, is fine. If it breaks down below 450, yeah, it's going to be painful. Probably see a 4 handle on it again, but is that, again, I guess it depends on your position size and your risk tolerance in your time horizon on this. But I don't personally want to see it below 450. I'm okay with 450, but other than that, if it's trending below 450 for any considerable period of time, I'm like, I probably won't have this.
And I think the annoying thing is people feel this is the bottom, so it's hard to sell. Like for some people, they're like, all right, cut bait, I'm out. But for other people, it's like, well,
no, yeah, cut bait, I'm out is like you have to two different conversations with yourself in that situation. It's like, what was your realistic time horizon? Did you have realistic, expectations to begin with, or were you buying ETH at 5,000? I don't know.
Right.
And even still, just like Ethereum, like, look, the pullback was viable. And then, but do you expect it to V recovery? Because people were so spoiled for those V recoveries for so long, right? It's not, quite frankly, it's not normal. This is normal. And so I think this is fine. To me, this looks like if this entire thing is consolidation right here, realistically, if we get that bounce at 450 or even here now, if this bounces tomorrow, it's the same thing as if it bounced off 450. It's not a big difference, right? It's going to be a pullback right back into heavy support, heavy traffic area, which was a dip buy. And that's exactly what it needed to get back to the high. So no, I'm definitely not selling here. But I mean, you have earnings coming. Everything has earnings coming in a few weeks.
Yeah, and again, I think people just have to be honest with themselves. Like, you either agree it's an investment or you don't. And if you don't, you got to get out, because complaining about it every day is not a solution.
Yeah, so like,
just like a lot of people tax loss office at BM&R. I mean, like, they gave up on it. That's okay. But if you believe in ETH, then you stay.
I actually just bought calls on BM&R because IV was finally. Did you know that IV was at this 4th percentile? Like, as in, like, it's never been cheaper. Finally, like, because I was like, I'm not going to play with options. Well, the premiums are so expensive. It might be high IV, but from a percentile perspective, this is the lowest volatility that BM&R has ever been.
Yeah. And again, the biggest issue is we're all so used to the 10, 20x or even 5x in less than a year, which a lot of us have had at least one stock that's done that. Whether it's Rocket Lab, SOFI,
Well, no.
Palantir.
To be fair, that's just us here, the people in this channel. We are not normal, by the way. Like
No,
we
because
should.
we're so obsessed with these companies. No, 100%. So that's my point. It's like we've all had a taste of that. A decent chunk of us have had a taste of that over the past 3 years. So then when you get into something that doesn't do anything and actually performs like a normal, boring investment, it's annoying. But you have to ask yourself then, all right, am I going to be normal and boring here? Or I'm going to go chase the next big thing. And
yeah, the sad truth, guys, is that the majority of investors, retail investors, if you will, that came into the market, this flood of retail investors that came in the market, 4 or 5 years ago, are still stuck in GameStop and AMC. That's the unfortunate truth, right? And so part of what we do is just kind of like teaching you how to not get stuck there.
And again, the good thing about some of these companies like a Grab is that the price is not correlating with the fundamentals. But if you compare the fundamentals
Sorry.
yeah, if you compare the fundamentals to GameStop, I mean, it's a joke, right? So it's like,
yeah,
obviously there's something a lot more
but people
interesting.
didn't know, and that was the issue.
I think
Time
that's
to
oh yeah.
You rode it all the way through.
Okay, last one, and then we'll get into audience requests. Palantir.
Dun dun dun. Wasn't there an attack last night? I was saying, I was like, I don't. So Palantir, dude. Why do all of our charts look the same right now? What's that about? So
you know what it
they're
is?
all
It's very similar to Hood. It's just like staying in a range after a really good year.
Yeah, it's
because both Hood and Palantir trade at a aggressive multiple, and the street's not ready to take them back to all-time highs yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Palantir's got earnings coming up first, February 2nd. So didn't they just get a price target upgrade too recently to like 230?
Yeah.
What was it?
235.
235. My bad. I should know better. It's the king of the Palantirians here. But anyways, it's so again, I'll just massive consolidation range right here, where this is from that prior breakout right over here. And so this remains that support that actually takes you all the way to what, like 2 to 160s. Trend count, higher high, right? Higher high up here, equal lows. Now you have a lower high, higher. Yeah, I got more consolidation. So this is the consolidation here that I'm looking at. So that's going to put me in this area for support, which is about, what is that, about 175. So that's high level. I'll drop down to a smaller time frame here really quickly. So resistance holding 190. That's what we can see right now. So this is your prior resistance zone. I already had it up there. I should have known better. That red box. So this red box here is resistance. We've had a couple attempts to fill these, what we call fair value areas. There's still one left in the 200s. As long as this holds this consolidation, I think that's just clearly what is happening, is that we're in consolidation. And so 170s remains. There's a little session gap around 165, but this box here is what I would call support right now. So low 170s down to 165 is and remains support. And that, until this breaks this range, that's going to be the story, unfortunately. So resistance around 185-ish. You want to see a break and hold. You don't want to see, we know where Amit bought all of his last tranche of Palantir stock in the 215s, 220s. And then he bought it again up here in the, 200s. But that is a failed breakout. So it's still consolidation. Can it breach the lows one more time? It's possible, but I don't see a fundamental reason for that to happen. And as long as it's holding these generally 170s, assume that this is a consolidation range, and you're kind of just picking it up in this green box until it can finally break through. and get back over 210, which if I close this off, I won't measure that big one, but I'll just say from here, generally speaking, where does an extension take us? It takes me to 230, 231.33. So I think you're okay. I don't know the multiples here. So I guess that's one thing to note. And then what's the next big catalyst? Is there a big catalyst for Palantir?
Not just earnings, pretty much. Which is, you know, I mean, yeah, there's government growth that probably could increase. The city upgrade yesterday said they could do 70 to 80% growth. If they accelerate to anywhere near that, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, this chart tells me, look, you can get some dip buys still. And then earnings is going to tell a bigger story, which earnings could be the thing that takes it to the 230. I just hope that it doesn't do what it did last earnings and shows you 230 in the aftermarket and never sees it in the like New York session, which, you know, is always possible. There are higher levels, by the way, but 230 is the first one. These higher 250, 270.
Yeah.
But this is actually, it's not like this is more like an NVIDIA chart where it's heavy consolidation, markets waiting for the next reason to go higher, but doesn't have a reason to sell.
All right, we are officially starting rapid fire, 2 minutes and 30 seconds per ticker. We have about an hour and 15 minutes to do that. I'm putting Jason's Twitter in the chat. Please make sure to follow him on X. Also, I'm putting his YouTube. He does a stream every Monday to set you up for the week.
If you guys don't get your tickers chosen, if you're not specially chosen by Amit, come by Monday and we will take care of you.
It's not about being special. I'm trying to pick tickers that more, like if you have some esoteric ticker that only you want to see, it's a little tough because there's a lot of people watching and we're trying to get everyone's tickers in there. So we're going to try our best to get as many tickers as possible. All right, let's get started. Netflix.
All right. So there are a lot better charts than Netflix out there. This is at support. I'm not touching this bad boy. So the breakdown was up here in the 116s. This is at a general support area.
Better press the timer.
230. It is at a general support area. I need to see more out of Netflix. I need to see this. Not a lot more. I need to see this over 93s. And then I think you can see triple digits again. Let me just do a quick measurement. So I had, actually, this is a target. It's a pretty solid target. That was an existing short. I just want to be, my gut's telling me it's in the 70s. 75 is where I would really be interested. This is medium-term support. It's not a big support level. It's just, you know, a handful of, it's like 2 or 3 months of this. But anybody that was trapped up here is if they did a cash offer on WBD or something just now after hours, we'll see. I need to see this trending over the 20-day SMA. That's how those trend reversals start. And so that's the minimum that I need to see. I don't need to go fishing just yet. But this is the lower end of that last support area. So it's not horrible, meaning like here's the lower end right over here. So it's not horrible. And a bounce up to 100 is absolutely something I could see. But again, it could just be a bounce that gets sold in that thing that takes me there. So dude, it's tradable. I don't know that it's an investable spot right here, right now.
Okay. SMCI.
Oogly. I mean, this thing keeps breaking down. This coming into earnings. Look, this is at, I mean, super support. I think my miss here is that, like, I don't know what the PE is from that perspective. Is it still expensive? I don't know. The chart is like, look, this is where you should hold. That's where you could have gotten upside moves, but this is long gone. If you buy here, I still don't think it's like horrible, but again, we'll have to see. This company just disappoints. So I don't hate it. What is the multiple? 17 billion is not bad, dude.
Yeah, I mean, not every
Pretty sure that's exactly where it was at the very beginning. I mean, if we're gonna build out the edge, it's still the edge is SMCI, it's Dell, it's Arista, it's Celestica, it's all those kind of names. I mean, dude.
There's been a lot of semi names that have done well. SMCI, Dell, those just haven't been the names this year, and that's okay. But
yeah, it's infrastructure, core infrastructure.
Correct. VG.
VG, I sold my VG.
Wow.
Earlier.
Today or recently?
No, I sold it at 760 because like my trade was over. But my trade was like from here. My trade was up 30%, dude, in like a couple days.
Was like 650, right? Around that range?
6 to 23% to 730. And I was good. I just didn't buy the pullback, which I think last 2 weeks ago, we're like, yeah, you can see a pullback. So a pulled back, breakout, cool. You're still in support, in resistance. I would be more cautious than optimistic. But if you have a base that gets built right over here above that 730 level, that's gonna be really good. So meaning above here. This is the last breakdown right here. So the reason for me to sell is like I'm back from here up into support. I'm good to go, which was right over there. So now you're up through. Am I all the way through resistance? No, I'm just at that was another breakdown level. So I think you can watch this. And again, your time horizon is going to matter. You want to see essentially that 730, just under 750 area, hold as support. It's a very low liquidity name. So after hours, I definitely don't want to watch. But $8 is the next level. 860 is the next level that could get to, where you had this breakdown, and that's the major support that was broken before. So in general, to see this get back up to 860 is very much in the cards. And that could happen on a name like this tomorrow, dude. And so that's VG. Okay. I can't say anything other than that because that would be another trade complete.
AMD.
AMD. Well, I got the 1, 2, 3. These guys got news today.
They got an update.
196. Yeah, 196 was good. 227 is what we've always kind of highlighted as the bigger pivot. That's that prior all-time high from over here. So I still want to see structure. This is structure showing up in terms of this area here acting as general support. So that is the beginnings of structure. That's the beginnings of a reversal. So like having tested this pullback test, this is people showing up. The question is, are they done? Or are they done waiting for a discount or not? So AMD being AMD, a lot of AMD investors like to buy at a discount. The discount level is sub 200, as close to 190 as you could. And then it will be in an active breakout if you get a higher high above 227 over this area, 230s, a higher high above 230, you pull back, hold that 227 here, which is that prior all-time high, then you're on your merry way, which I think we call this as a $300 stock. And that is and was and remains to be AMD. So it's still there. It's basing. It's looking good. Yep. All roads point to 300s if this can hold right in here. Longer term.
Okay. Applied Digital. APLD.
We had this. Ooh, this is toppy. So this is fine. I think you stay the course. This is a high risk new money to add here, but pull back to 33. You'd want to see that hold like that and start basing. Even here, that's the highs. It's gonna be hard, right? I would still need to see this kind of move. And even if that pulls back, it could be a pullback like this, but that would be pathing. Whether or not that is, pathing is like the trajectory, whether or not that's like here or we get something like that, it doesn't really matter, but I need it. You're at the highs. So congrats on the W. Yeah, if I were to take that back to 34, I can also grab that here. So I would expect this to, if this can hold 34, that's nice. You know, I played with this thing over here. So, or not over there, over here. So like seeing this at this point, I'm like, crazy. But $20 was a decent pullback. I just, is that a weekly squeeze? That's a weekly squeeze showing up.
They had a good earnings last Friday as well, or last Thursday.
That green, when you see a green bar, like right there where price is going, that's a squeeze on my chart. An oversold squeeze. So this does not look like it's done. So I don't know anything about the stock or the company. What do they do?
Data centers.
What about data centers?
You're asking too much, buddy.
Am I really?
You are. All right, Broadcom.
All right, fair enough. AVGO, I think 230s was where I said we were going to pull back to. Yeah, 330s, 230s, 330s. That holds. Honestly, I think this is still stuck.
This one fell from 420 to 320, so it's had a decent chunk up.
Yeah, I thought it was going to stop around 335, and it breached that a little bit lower down here. And I have that as an extension from this breakout from the past, in the past. So that's actually, it's a bullish hold. I mean, this is one where like, yeah, it's expensive, but we will have to see 373. If it can get over the 50-day, it goes in to that area, meaning like your trajectory is here. One, two, three. Yeah, I think you buy it. I think it holds. 345 was that prior support. Do you buy it now? I want to see how, if I get a pullback, I want to see it hold that just under 350 area. And if I see a little something like this, that would be good. And then I'll at that point, I would see the 20-day kind of rounding out here. And I mean, the setup like that, this setup does set up for a little bit more chop and eventually up and out. But that's, especially coming to earnings season, maybe it's a Broadcom instead of NVIDIA this year that people get excited about. What are the other Mag 7s going to say, or other hyperscalers? Are they working more on custom silicon? That makes Broadcom a bigger winner in the earnings season run up, potentially. But yeah, I can see 380s to 390s on this.
Bloom Energy, BE.
There was a heavy, failed. Look, guys. Yikes, Aroni. They had like right before it was about to break down, a headline came out. I remember. What was the headline on this?
It's Quanta Power bought a ton of their stuff, 500 million worth of their stuff.
Quanta Services?
Quanta Services, sorry, yeah. What's the ticker on
Really?
that? Yeah. PWR, Power.
Yeah, I know them. They're core holding for years of mine. I actually just sold a bunch. But
It's like a $2 billion deal, right, guys? I think it's almost around that range. It's a decent level contract.
yeah, I'm shocked because that is not a small deal. If it was Quanta, I tried to tell you about the deal, brother. Daniel, I know you did. I remember because I was looking at this like, oh, it's going to break down, and it didn't break down. And, you know, I always say the most bullish patterns. This was the head and shoulders here looking at it. If that was the neckline, if it was going to break down, it was going to happen right there. And then I remember a headline. I was like, all right, she hosed, shorts are hosed is what I remember at that point. Shorts are hosed. But I didn't follow this all the way up there. But Quanta Services is no joke. That's a big deal.
You like the TA on it or no?
I guess that. Well, I'm toying with the idea because that's blowing my mind. I don't know Bloom as like a real legit company. Quanta doesn't mess around. So I mean that puts them in a legit category. So I guess we'll have to see. I can't chase it here, no way. But
that's the problem. It's up 50% this year already. That's the issue.
Well, it's an extremely high beta name. And it's only 30 billion right now. So the issue is that if it goes any higher, it's over 200. So that's what I just measured out here. And meaning that if this area becomes just consolidation, this is what I'm talking about, man. Those failed head and shoulders, they're so crazy. If that is consolidation that it breaks out from, then yeah, we are talking about 200. I mean, over 123, I should have taken this because we're here. I think it can struggle a little bit. And so what I'm seeing is if this comes back and it shows me a 120 base and hold, look, that's what that's going to be. And I think that's that's a constructive look because any nuance of a head and shoulder has been burned to the ground. That is completely failed head and shoulders. And that's what happens. And that is why I'm not a pattern trader.
So overall, you like it. You just wouldn't chase at this level.
I wouldn't chase, but if this holds 120s, somewhere around there between 110 and 120, that should be a decent pullback. And if buyers step in and it doesn't completely fail, look, everything here looks healthy, including your RSI, even though your reading might be extreme. That's a healthy extreme. It's not even on a daily. We still have that kind of divergence, bearish divergence, meaning that it doesn't have to go right here, right now. But so we're like there. If that comes in and then we get a move like that, that's how that type of divergence kind of plays out, which is exactly that. And then you have your steaming hot cup of whatever with a nice little handle over here.
Right. Micron.
Moo. I
This
call
one
it
also parabolic.
the cow. It's a fat cow now. How now, brown cow? Okay, so I think I remember putting this out there and saying like, all right, well, took a short, then this was clearly a breakout, and I think this breakout was played out at 230, completed. So as long as this holds 230 here, the next move is 275 with the consolidation, oh my God, into fours. I don't know what your fundies say on this. If it loses 330, did I say 2? I meant 3. If it loses 330, cool, you can get a retest just around 300, which should be fine also. But I don't have a reason to see that happening just yet. That's a daily chart. Did I not push play? Damn it. And that's where we are on this leg. So we got 1, 2. Yeah, this looks like you could play around a little bit more, and you want to see that. What I'm talking about is this prior breakout level here at 330. You see a little distribution here, and a dip could be into the 20-day 295, where I would expect it to get bought up again. There's a lot of gaps on this chart, but that is not mattering. This is, I mean, people believe in the super cycle for high bandwidth memory. That's where she is. Oops.
Yeah,
I'm just checking on the peers. Yeah, I'm just checking on the peers. So Micron's played out. Western Digital has not fully yet. So 225, that's up to 255. If this holds 200, that's good. STX is the other. All hard drives, different than memory to an extent, but they're nowadays hard drives are just made up of a boatload of memory chips or memory sticks anyways. So kind of what it is. Yes, 600s here. Consolidation to threes, SNDK completed. So all of these, those are your 4 in the group. 385, yeah, trade complete from that prior breakout. To if it continues 450, 45, that's where we are. It is what it is, man. It's crazy. I was, last time we were looking at this, I remember looking at Western Dig and thinking, it was like a 50 billion market cap at the time, not 73. It's still, I mean, I sold stuff to Western Digital. I go to the headquarters. It's like a ginormous campus out here. So it's like, it's not a small company, but good night. These are some epic moves. But those are your 4. Micron, SanDisk, Western Digital, and Seagate Technologies. Those are all in the same cohort. They will trade together. You want to watch the group to see that they're all doing the same thing.
Novo.
They like the gal. NVO. So timer on. So 200-day simple moving average, $60 has been achieved after your reversal. So this is what I was talking about before. How do all reversals start? They start by reclaiming the 20-day here. Then you get it. Then you hit the 50-day and you get a little bit of a pullback. This is a textbook reversal setup, but it's choppy initially. You up, pull back, retest, breakthrough, come back, retest all of them over here. Then you get that expansion between these SMAs, and you do essentially what you just did over here, but you do it in this whole area. So NVO could actually come back all the way down before doing something like that. But this type of a turnaround, it's not a short story. It's a long, it's a longer one. Did their CEO get ousted finally, or they change anything? I don't know. Prime selling the stuff on their platforms, probably bullish. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, they partnered with Amazon for Vigovi, so I think that was the core headline.
Yeah. So it's a core headline. The big move from the lows off from 40 to 60, 50% up in, a couple weeks is good. And again, even if you draw this back over here, this is a good spot. Definitely 40 was a decent spot to expect to bounce. But as you can see, like this is a massive downtrend. All of this, right? Massive downtrend. So put it to you this way. To expect Novo to, flip super bull all of a sudden after this much of a pullback for this long is a little unrealistic. So I think that your expectations need to be more realistic, that this could actually go into a bit longer of a consolidation. And as these SMAs tighten up and then actually make a bigger move. But as long as these start tightening up and price can get super choppy in here, you can see that at that point, 60 is still the level, and you want to see it continue on. But that could take a few months at minimum, and that would take you to 95. So the trade would be from essentially 60 to 95. Is it this time at 60? Probably not, but a dip buy if you see that 50s, higher low, basically. If you see that higher low, it's probably a decent dip opportunity as long as your time horizon's long enough to make a bigger move for another 50%.
AMKR.
You're all over the place. 65s. So the last time AMKR was up here, we talked about, does it make this one a spot? Like, it had mostly spent its life in the 30s, only spent a little bit of time in the 45s, and it's not really staying in the 45s. I think this is just epic consolidation. Ooh, that's crazy tight. This is going higher, highly likely into 65s. Yeah. There's zero selling pressure going on here. This should have pulled back already, but the fact that it's not, and it's holding tight so clean. Yeah, I think this is 65. Your full extension from this base is to 75s. But I think, yeah, at 12 billion market cap, I don't know what the multiple is here.
2 times sales.
Yeah. It's not hard for this to just poof, like go up here. I would expect if that happens, then I would just want it to hold 60s. And then eventually if it's over 65, then we're looking at 75. And I don't want to say it out loud because we're way too early for that. There's no shot I can say that, but things that happen over 75 tend to rhyme when stocks get over there. But I can't say that here. We're way too far from that actually happening. Why are you smiling?
Good. I was talking to his stock talk last week in Vegas, and he's like, "Dude, this thing's probably going to 100." On it, just kidding.
All right, fine. You said it. You said it. I didn't say it.
Well, they're one of the only packaging plays in the United States with demand going exponential with TSM. I mean, like, it feels like it could happen.
It's such a boring stock too. Like such a boring idea. But that's what I mean. This is the stock pickers kind of market. It's like, who heard of AMKR before? Like, do you talk about, I hear you guys talking about OSS. I don't, this is the edge. It's kind of a no-name, super niche play. I'm probably going to get in trouble for even mentioning this because the market cap's so small, and and Derek's kind of like probably owns half the market cap of this thing by now. I have no idea, but like,
I cannot tell Derek about this. He might buy the whole company.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we will probably get in trouble actually by even bringing a small cap name up like that. I've seen it before. It's unfortunate, but it is true. But yeah, that's super niche. But Arista, Celestica, those kind of names, that's your edge, definitively. Like ANET, that's your edge. Edge compute. And I know Meta buys Arista, right? Celestica, CLS. Someone asked me many moons ago what I thought about this, and I'm pretty sure I just said, just own it. I mean, this is where I like these charts for sure. PWR.
Can we do PayPal? That's a big request.
Oh my God, why? Guys, help me understand.
It's a request. It's what the people want.
It's the pain, pal. Okay. Are they thinking about shorting the stock?
No, they think it's bottomed and it's going higher. That's the argument.
I actually think this is not bottom based on this.
Yeah, Roy was talking about it might go to the 50s, given.
I don't think this is bottom. This is too many tests. 1, 2, 3. It's 40s. I mean, Roy's generous.
They've authorized 20
always
billion
does good.
buybacks. It's 20 billion of buybacks for a $50 billion company. Like, it's kind of crazy at this point.
Dude, they could do. I wish they wouldn't do that.
I mean, yeah, I wish they would grow more, but like,
yeah, is that like really the best they can come up with? See, the problem is this is long term, right? The problem is here. See that prior support and that support here, breakdown here. You got over it, but then it failed, and then you have this 1, 2 big. People, I guarantee you that nobody's seen PayPal from this perspective. This is kind of scary, right? So like, I would just leave it be. It's 40s. So unless you're thinking short, I would just not. And even then, it's really hard to think short on this thing because it's so ridiculous. I just need to see a lot more out of PayPal. I need to see this well over 80 and then call me. And I will absolutely forego like the 30% in between. Absolutely. I hope you don't need to sell it if you're already in this. Like, from an investing perspective, what do you care? 55 to 42, it's probably not a big deal. It's really not that big of a deal, quite frankly. But I just don't want to pick it up at this quote unquote support, which it is support. The problem that I have with this support is that this support has been tested way too many times. And it's like, you knock on a door, a battering ram up against this door so many times before it finally breaks through. And yeah, maybe that battering ram breaks through and that ends up being the liquidity that it needed to go higher. But you can see it there on that volume profile. This is the last line of support, 58, right there. And it's not really, when you look back in history, like long-term history, it's not really that big of a deal, because then I have this to fill in. So that's where Roy's coming up with 50 right there. But I don't know why it would magically stop at 50 per se. It's possible that liquidity goes down to 40s, to the low 40s.
Yeah.
And then I think it's really dumb, but I think it's dumb here that this is happening. It's just a case of it's just another case of the market can stay irrational longer than you could stay liquid.
ASTS.
I mean, what are we doing here? ASTS.
This one's also gone parabolic in the space trade.
Almost. It's not there yet. We did the same kind of trade from 60s. I don't think I caught this. You're up at the highs again here. So whenever you get to the highs, expect a little chop, a little apprehension. You want to hold 84s. I mean, this is what it is, right? Like if you get this, cool there. That was just a swag, but here's that kind of pullback level. I can see a pullback. That's perfectly fine, as long as I make a new high eventually. If that new high happens, I can also see a pullback then, but that's 120s, 9s, 130s. If that ends up being the case, again, assuming that everything holds, this could pull back as low as 75 and still be very much in play, just like that. Actually, why do I keep forgetting to hit the play button?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's another high beta name now. The space narrative has been good for them, but obviously
it's the narrative. Yeah, as long as SpaceX IPO is being anticipated, Rocket Lab. I haven't looked at I'm scared to look at this. I think it came back. Yeah, even this one is like, we'll see. What was the other one? There's so many others. Space
Lunar,
names.
Redwire. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, Lunar.
Can we do Adobe? And what do you think is going on here?
Yeah, we can do Adobe. I meant to look at this Roblox. Somebody brought it up. Hold on. Before we do Adobe, I want to know, are we doing Roblox? Because we missed the last run.
That's a good question. If we were going to do Roblox, now would be the time to do Roblox.
Now is the time. So like we missed the last run, and this, I'm pretty sure. Do you mind if I do? This is super selfish. I've been watching this chart. I know that we fell. I had 70s in mind. Someone mentioned it. I'm like, oh, I saw this in sub 80s before. I want to make sure that I'm not. This is important. I'm a hold on. This is important. It's not that important, but
It was up 10% today.
Dude, okay, so I have a picture perfect $71.70 pullback. Picture perfect right there. Retesting prior breakout. This is what we call the golden pocket. That's my special spot. If it gets over 87, I'm going to have to chase this, and I don't want to chase this.
By the way, real quick, the reason it's up today is because one of their games called Escape Tsunami for Brain Rots is at 40 million visits already.
This is what I'm talking about.
I don't know what Escape Tsunami for Brain Rots is, but that's their new viral game. That's pumping it.
Okay, so we're over the 20. This is 111, potentially 120 here. And then if this whole thing becomes a consolidation range, then we're looking like everything else. And what is that? So I'm just getting my bearings here really quick, guys. Sorry for the super selfish pull. That's got a 2 handle on it if it gets over 120. So here now, what I want to see is I want to see this hold the 20-day, and I want to see some kind of consolidation around the 85 area. And that's going to be ultra constructive. And I'm going to take a very serious look at the blocks of Livro blocks. $59 billion valuation. What does that give me for a PE? I just need to be careful that I'm not buying something crazy expensive.
PE on Roblox at 60.
Yeah. 60?
No. You said Roblox stocks at 84. You're saying what's the PE if it gets to?
No, right now. Well, I just want to make sure that.
They're not profitable. They don't have a PE.
Oh, okay. Well, then
what are their price to sales? What are they trading?
Price to sales. Yeah, I mean, they're choppy here.
They're 14. I mean, it's not like it's the cheapest name, but it's the chart, to your point, has potential.
It has potential. And if they get another viral name, it's just another reason. I got to put it on a heavy watch. Heavy watch. Does this setup remind you of something? Like this whole thing?
No, what is it reminding you of?
What? It reminds me of like all the hoodies and the Robin Hoods and.
Yeah, but I just don't know if Roblox is as good of a company as.
What are you talking about? You don't have enough older friends.
I get that kids are addicted to it, but.
All right. How much have you guys spent on your children?
No, it's definitely
you
have a moat in terms of the user growth. I also don't understand the industry as well for me to like.
You got to get back in touch with your inner child, dude. I mean, you spent the whole weekend being an adult in Vegas. You just got to get back to your roots.
That's true.
Get back on your mind.
Okay, let's do Adobe and your broader thoughts on software. Do you think the entire sector is just dead to start off the year?
Well, Adobe, we talked about before. I was like, not really super interested in this. I don't know if it's really dead. We could look at CRM too. CRM is actually at the spot that I would have said is a level of interest, but I still need to see something happen. Adobe, I think this is just hesitation. Technically, yeah, Adobe might be technically in a downside squeeze. It is not a good looking chart. There's nothing good about this chart right now. Yeah, I don't have anything. I watched Bambi when I was a child, and mom just reinforced this thing. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. So that's kind of where I'm at we're going to call this Bambi from now on, this ticker, Adobe. We've been nicknamed Bambi. Yeah. it's interesting, but it's like, is it a value trap? Is it just a slow
I
growing
feel
company?
like everyone's selling software for semis again. Like, I think that's a trade.
This
People are
kind of software, this kind of legacy enterprise software, which would be like Oracle also, actually would put Oracle at risk. But yeah.
Okay. HIMS.
Yeah, I think you have a right call on HIMS where it's like, probably just stay away too. Yeah, I need to see more out of this. For now, I almost feel like the Amazon thing. It's like, why do we own HIMS now? It's $27.35 is like my retracement level. I think that was accurate, right? 27 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right there. And you're essentially touching this yesterday. But I want to give it some room before I would do anything. Cause like, I just want to see it go sideways and then back up to 37, best case scenario. But in this setup, the way that this is below all significant trends. And I mean, I could see 20s again, pretty easily if this like high 20 area doesn't hold. Like if this general area doesn't hold 25s, like that could all of a sudden be like one of those Peloton type stocks. And I don't want to be playing in that personally. So I'd let it be. If you're long, I mean, just know that you're very close to significant, serious support. But what is it? Is 33 right now? How far away is that? I mean, it's 20%. Is 20% a big deal? I don't know. And then you have earnings.
Kratos, drone stock.
I think Kratos is going to be a prime, right? Pretty soon.
I think that is part of the thesis.
No, this was always my drone play. Is this not just like a thing of beauty, though?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so pretty. Look at her. Do you have Embraer? That's another under the radar stock. Not the same space, different space. What the? I don't know what was going on over here. I was not playing with this around here. I have no idea what this comes from. I literally just noticed this.
But do you think this is running off vibes or legit?
No, I think this is very real. I think Kratos is incredibly real. Dude, I don't know. I own Kratos. I just bought it in the 70s, like just the other day, like right over here. So, dude, I honestly, I didn't even know that it came back that far. Like looking at this chart. Good God.
2004.
Yeah. That's why we zoom out. But yeah, I mean, 70 to 120, I already checked that box more or less. Yeah, I'm seeing 160s here.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this okay, so but they have earnings coming in February. So this is probably a lot of that pre-earnings run-up type hype. And then it has to get real. So once they report earnings with the amount of attention that this stock is getting, it's got to be real. Otherwise, this can come crashing down. It's extremely high beta.
EOSE, energy name.
Also had a good move. Even my ET, dude, the oil stocks today. This is the broadening though, right? Like this. Yeah, no, this is good. Your 17s back again. as long as this is holding here, I mean, this is all good for now. Oh, this is better than good. This is happening. This is probably happening. I don't know how real this one is.
It got here in December, then it got hit, but it is definitely happening. Question
Is it?
Well, it had some good headlines. I don't know if it follows through, but
Well,
they diluted at 19, which is what messed it up in November.
it's up here first in the 25s and then ultimately 28s. So I would expect, so you have this top right here, right? So expect this third top to get hit and then consolidate like this. That's very typical. So when you see all-time highs, and right away, I'm not trying to chase the first all-time high. I'm trying to look for like actually a fairly deep pullback, which is probably around where it is right now. And then I'd be looking for that. And then as long as this, if that happens, so 19 is your break level, then I'm looking for this to hold. And then it's talking about 28s initially. I mean, there's a possibility on this one you could see at 5 billion, not knowing how expensive or not, but knowing where we are in the market and what the story is. This is a doubling ish in the range. Sorry. From here to here. That's a double. That is what it is. But this is one step at a time trading. I got to know the story. If I have a storyline that can take me higher, that's cool. But for right now, this looks very healthy, and like the market's going to chase this. Could chase this. I like it. Okay. I didn't know I was going to find so many stocks that I liked. Damn.
MP.
I would rather Freeport. I am in Freeport. I am long Freeport. But I mean, this is like a Australian something. Look, MP.
This is not Australia. No, this is the United States company for rare earths.
I think the founder was like Australian.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's rare earth mining.
I mean, this had a good year in 2025.
Yeah, I think the whole thesis is good. As I look at this, the $50 pullback is actually a measured move from what? Yeah, even if I clean this up, that's our measured move from that low to this extreme high. So that's a bullish hold. And definitely if it can hold over 6170, that whole area kind of becomes support. And then in that case, God, that's what I'm saying, dude. Stop it. Too many. 75s. And then that would be it from a trading perspective. And then can you get this kind of thing? That would be up into, dude, as long as that trend is holding, this is a general path that a stock in this scenario would take over a significant period of time. I'm going to do this. Don't quote me on it. Those are the numbers. If it does actually break ties. I don't even want to say them out loud.
That's one hundo.
No, that's higher than one hundo. But anyways, it's up here. If that's an extension. Everything's so like, it's kind of scary. But not everything looks good.
Yeah, it's just some of these small caps are creating some pretty.
It's just it's you know what? It's the whole theme. If the Mag 7, it's like people are going fishing for what's the next Mag 7, right? Like if if it's not Microsoft anymore, if it's not Amazon, if Google's a little played out and NVIDIA is going to take its sweet time, where do we go? Right. And we actually see this every year as a very normal thing. That's why the January effect exists. It's almost through March that we'll see a lot of these kind of names, take these moves. And then they make a big move and it's like, oh shit. Okay. Well, then there's a reality check of like, how real was this? Did we go too far? And we'll have to see. But a lot of these names across the board, this is healthy broadening, but it could be like not so healthy for like a Microsoft or even a Meta or even an Amazon or whoever. Like I could see that money. I could see people using our greatest stocks in the market as their personal ATMs for a time, for a little while, and then spreading it out, and eventually they'll come back.
Can we look at silver?
Did I tell you I went into the safe and I pulled out some bullion just in case? Did I tell you this? Probably not. You've been gone.
You did not.
No, I took a little out just in case I had to go run to the pawn shop, but I've since opted to not. I haven't put it back in the safe yet, but I don't think I'll be selling anytime soon. Cause I think this has got a triple digit handle, like triple digits on it. I mean, first of all, dude, we are talking, we're talking about gold-like breakout plus data center stuff. And I have 85 on my chart. I even have 120 on my chart as an extension from a parabolic move perspective. And yeah, it's super volatile, but even just recently, it's not even that. This is a very textbook. Here's your consolidation range between 70 and 67, which, by the way, this is a measured move from what I just did, and it held. And now I'm over 72. So I'm on my way to 85. That's what this is doing. It's on its way to 85. Can it be choppy in between there? Absolutely. And then if it gets to 85 and higher, I mean, good night. We're triple digits, which can happen, and it doesn't have to make sense, especially in something like this. So I'm just going to hang. If it loses 60, like 65 in strength, that's okay. I will run to the pawn shop and it's out of the safe, and it's there just in case. And I'll sell a little bit, not a lot of it, but just a little bit, because the stuff is really heavy and it takes a lot of space. But that's it.
So you like it here. You wouldn't go new net long, but you're not selling silver.
I'm not running to the pawn shop to buy more silver.
Yeah.
I just have it. I took it out of the safe to potentially sell it, and we're just waiting.
But you don't think it's like a bubble. You think it's like legit.
Oh, it could for sure be a bubble. This move, this is absolutely bubblicious, but like that's silver, right? And again, it's I think it's just in the middle of a current move to 100. And yeah, I think that was in the cards from way back. Like, since what I bought it at like $15, $30, thinking that like, all right, well, we can sell it at 100 at some point in my life. So it is some point in my life now. Here we are.
That's the mentality we should have for everything. It's like, I'm going to buy it. At some point, it'll be up 10x. And
Yeah, well, it was also based on the charts at the time.
Yeah. Rubric.
So I like Rubric, the company. I've just constantly been torn with, do I like Rubric, the stock? I love Rubric, the company. It is the Palo Alto of data protection, data security. It's in a subset of InfoSec. It's data protection, specifically, like, think of ransomware. If you've ever got hit with one of those, this is the company that fixes all of that. I think this market cap, and it's the easiest thing, it's the Palo Alto of data protection. Simple. 14 billion.
I think with SaaS, this one got hit like a lot of other names this year, to be honest.
The problem is that you do realize this is not a SaaS company. Like, they sell boxes, right? So like it's like Pure Storage is not really a SaaS company. It is and it isn't, but they're under, like, Palo Alto wasn't always
they're not a hardware company.
Yeah, dude. We sold boxes. They look like servers, and it has their software on top of them. Actually, I sold a Rubrik to a customer when it was like bleeding edge technology, and the faces melted off the boxes because they ran so hot. This is way back. But this was like some of the easiest stuff to sell because it just worked. It just worked, and it just works so much better than everything else, which is why probably Sam, who is also in tech, likes the company. I love the company. Do not get me wrong on that. It's just the valuation piece and the addressable market of data protection. That is different than security or network or things. It's different. It's storage. But there's a lot of orchestration. Anyways, not to get into the weeds here, but I don't hate this level. And here now, look, from a trend count perspective, this is where I'd be looking, right? So we have from this break here, I do have something that says, hey, look at me, meaning like this was that last lower high breached. From that high, this is the last low, which means that in this box here, a higher low to lock in at minimum a consolidation can show up anywhere down in this area, which I took this drawing from over here. This was that prior point of control from this consolidation area. It's very close. I'm just going to take one more measurement. Sorry, guys. From here to here and say, is this a good, boom, there it is. So yeah, I think right in here, 66 is, I think we're good. I think you take a shot, speculative-ish. It's more about, does the market reward Rubrik for does it have an addressable market that's really good? I think so. Can they expand their product set? Most likely. I love the company. It's worth a look here. It's worth a serious look here, but I don't want to see it like really below 62. Below 62, this trend is out, or 65s rather, and it's going to go and retest these lows. But he's a good founder like it's a very good company. The tech is very good. Last I checked, it's best of breed in its space. Actually, it's just a question of, is the space big enough to really get excited about?
Okay,
Uber's, I took a shot at Uber down here, and it's somewhat holding. I think it's in a bit of a consolidation right now, but it's constructive. I don't know that I pressed this bet today, but the last dip buy right in here was actually good. Low, and you're looking at this, and then you want to see this. This can pull back a little bit and do that. But if this loses this $80 level, the whole thing becomes at risk. So it's like, you can hang out in Uber, but there is some concern. It's a tradable range. I don't know that it's like a big investment range just yet, because it's below a lot of these major SMAs. And this is somewhat distributionary up here, meaning like I see a lot of selling pressure up here. So if Uber doesn't get back over 93 in the next quarter, it's more at risk of seeing these lows retested in that $70 area again. So Again, I think it looks okay. This is a good spot right here to take a shot. We're up towards the highs. This is this, by the way, is an extension from this consolidation. So the question is, do I actually get a retest all the way down again or not? And right here, right now, it looks a little challenged. It looks a little stuck. And so it's going to be safer up here if I can get out. But right now it's gonna, that's where this is. It's stuck. It could be a good spot, but you need to see a lot more for a real continuation.
Okay. Upstart.
Yeah, this looks a little funky. Upstart. I mean,
got hit with a lot of the other credit card names recently.
It was Upstart versus a firm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather look at a firm. I think from a healthy chart perspective, by memory, a firm's a lot healthier. But these are all extremely squeezy. This really did not get hit very much at all. It's holding the 50. 45s is a pretty key level of interest after the 30 is right here. So here is another level. I see a higher low after a higher, this looks like a long, at least into earnings. This looks more constructive for a bounce up to like 55s. I can't say that this is a big reversal yet. For a bounce in the 50s, this 68 is actually resistance. So it's 63s are resistance. It's way closer to support down here than it is resistance. And this is your trading range. This is the range that the chart is living in right now.
Okay. Credo, CRDO.
I forgot what this one does. What do these guys do again? If he's going to say data centers, I don't even know why I ask. Connectivity solutions for data center infrastructure. Picks and shovels of the data center. I was probably like, oh, is this one that's like Amphenol? My Amphenol transceivers and things. That's connectivity stuff. So that's a good spot to be in. It looks a little sideways. Can we look at?
Wait, was I muted the whole time just now?
Were you talking? If you were talking, you were muted.
Oh, okay. I was.
It's okay. I answered my own question for you.
I thought it was chip design, but that's cadence. So it's connectivity shit that you're saying.
But your answer was going to be data center stuff. Anyways, so I answered it appropriately. I think we're good. This is connectivity, transceivers thing. I see 170s, 180s on a bounce here. It's bullish. This reminds me of, is it okay if I take a flyer real quick and just skip through? It reminds me of Corning, which I did want to take a look at. Yeah, so like this is probably good also for my boys and girls that are watching this stock that Amit doesn't know about, but yeah, I don't hate this. This is heavy consolidation, massive base, not breaking down. Should have broken down, by the way, a while ago. Fighting the good fight here. I mean, this is more gearing up. It should actually have a good earnings, I believe. But what's the market cap here? 77. Not a small company. Not looking horrible here. And then my oldie but goodie, Amphenol. This is real transceivers. Sold the shit crap out of this, a ton of them. If you don't know these tickers, these are not Amit tickers, but these are more nuanced. These are very good looking charts, extremely healthy. All data center picks and shovels. Look at this. I mean, Amit likes the package things, the packaging plays, but these are extremely healthy almost never sell type bucket stocks. There you are. Cool.
Okay, last three, and then we'll be done for today.
Make them good. Make them count. I'm almost losing my voice. Oh, Home Depot. Baby.
UNH.
Dude, pass. Give me another one.
Okay.
Wrong space.
Ondas.
Oh, we already did a drone. We got 3, man.
AppLovin.
Okay.
We did IREN already, guys.
We did IREN, which counts for Cypher.
Basically.
Yeah. AppLovin. I'm loving. Maybe, I don't know. It's very close. It looks good. Dude. I mean, I don't know why you didn't tell us to actually hold that position on the dip of the investigation, because good night. Higher high. I'm looking for this to be a higher low right into that support area. Dude, we don't pay attention to this stock enough. This looks constructive. It's not ready. Ready is like over this big box over here, 725s. And this is already measured out as $1,000 stock. And so if that were to happen, I would need to see a little something like this. I could see this pull back and then do that. So here now, that's about where we look to be on this trajectory. What I'm looking at, what I would be looking for to see here is something called accumulation. If you were to take like a Wyckoff schematic, if you know what that is, and overlay that right onto this chart, this pathing is like the definition of accumulation. So March is looking for a breakout.
Unity.
Unity, dude. How did you know? I think Unity got me today, man. So small cap, it works. I actually took a trade on this just recently. A little bit of a breakout to 50, pulling back. Unity is one where it likes to fake out a lot, and I know that. So it loves to have a lot of fake outs. But see this consolidation, very, very near-term consolidation. I'll just go ahead and throw a line straight across. I can't believe I vetoed your picks. I'm sorry, dude. I can't get over it still. 4380 is you can see it very clearly right here. They're buying this. And when I pull this back, yeah, that is, look, we're over here. I did breach. So we did breach. The question I have right now is this a lower high? Or do I see consolidation? And coming into earnings, apparently Roblox has got another hit on their hands. Did Unity have anything to do with that? I don't know. I know that Unity is not the best game designing software out there, but it's what's available in the market. It's super squeezy, very constructive. 1, 2, 3. If I see this close to 40s, like if I see a low 40 handle on this, I'm going to take another shot. Like if I see a higher low below the $50 or 50-day SMA, like if I see something like a breach here and I see that right here, I'll take another shot. But for now, I want to watch this area around 44s as a very heavy level of interest. The crew was talking about the depot. The depot is also on its way from a bearish to bullish reversal. This is one where like you have I think it's like 90% probability every year, annual type trade. You buy late Q4, you're green 90-something% of the time, seasonally speaking, on the depot into late Q2. We're basically there. It's possible that this is all she's got. It's right at that bear zone 380. If it goes any higher, I can easily see this going boom straight to 390. But if it's over 395, this is a different story. And if it's over 395, then we are actually potentially looking at a larger reversal. I mean, large reversal. So I think you stay the course here if you're long, and just know, hey, look, 380 goes another $10+. And then if it's really trending over 395, then we really, at that point, the market does not have any questions about the home builder resurgence, and they're all going higher. That's your Toll Brothers, that's your Pulte's. This is Toll. I mean, that's a bullish looking chart. What's the PH Pulte Group? These are your home builders. Even my $10,000 stock that Amit loves to make fun of me about is NVR, the best of the best. And even maybe your insane highest beta of the group, a mix of retail plus home builders, the most epic reversal of all, if this does happen, and the highest beta option would be your RH, which is what that would be. So that's the home builder setup. I'm gonna throw a couple other flyers. AGNC, if we do have a little rotation, like this REIT from that same perspective. So also a bearish to bullish reversal here. Any point, AGNC, this is a $20 REIT back when, but overall significant SMAs. This is probably names that we're not used to covering, but I took the opportunity while Amit keeps muting himself to like just go a little rapid fire on my own. So as long as it's holding over 1050, I can see high 12s to mid 14s within the next 3 to 6 months on this guy, while collecting a pretty hefty dividend.
CoreWeave.
All right, CoreWeave. Do you have a hard stop? Because I'm okay.
Yeah, I got to be out of here.
Okay, cool. CoreWeave, you're right into resistance. That was the low from the last time that we talked about this. This is the first break in structure. Honestly, we're very close to seeing something happen here. I don't want to chase this, but what you are looking for is you're looking for this to hold like 85s. And see, this is that last support right there. And see how we broke over higher lows. We're in consolidation. We have definitively broken this more recent consolidation here. I can see any pullback like this. And then we're talking about that. Can it pull back to 80? It can, but the best is like 85. And then I think Jose is a lot happier than he has been in a while. But we're at least talking about a triple digit stock again.
Can you do Big Bear AI?
I can. Heavy consolidation. I think you have to have a fundamental reason here. This looks similar to like, yeah, honestly, this looks like a little BMNR-esque to me, which I would actually be okay on BMNR here, as long as it holds the recent lows. Yeah, if this gets over 650, this can get squeezy. I don't know that the typical fibs, this one doesn't really, I don't think it's treated me that well using those, but here's that prior uptrend. And so you broke down a little bit, you're at 650. You really want to see it get back over 650. And if you can, if that does happen, this is like this. That's how this is. This could very easily be a fake out breakdown, but I will be pretty clear that this has broken the very near term trend, and it looks it looks a little BMNR-esque. You don't want this to go any lower from a breakdown perspective. Remember that BMNR big consolidation, and then it had a breakdown, and then the breakdown took it down to like this kind of level. You're not there yet, but this is that more recent support. I think this moves a lot more rapid than BMNR does, by the way. So it could easily do a fake out like this and be like whoop to the highs like very quickly.
So we can do BMNR. I mean, we already did ETH, which I feel like kind of covers a decent chunk of it, but
yeah. Well, 55 would be my bounce. So this was the first bounce from down here was from down here. You'd have to go back in the playback and say, hey, look, I'm looking for at least 40. We got there, pullback, retested, same area of support. Let me take the drawings off for just a second and just show you. So support being from here. So we are here, essentially. That's this, I think this is a straight line. I think it's a straight line. Yep. So that was our prior support area. And so we're holding right now. We want to see this squeeze a little bit higher, but just from that perspective, this is our last breakdown. And over here is another piece right over here. And then you have this general area that was real support. So that being 52s up here. So what I want to see is a trajectory, kind of like we've retested support, we've held, we're back out of the box. I want to see this reclaim that 200-day. It's over the 20. It's at the 200. It's at the 50. If I see this kind of trajectory, I would absolutely expect this, potentially that, and then that.
But the only way this happens is if ETH gets closer to 4,000. That's why I'm like,
absolutely. But I would, like I said before, I would absolutely watch the alts, and that it's very possible that ETH does get to 4,500, but 3,500 on ETH is first, and we have to get there first. But this is where we are.
That's my point of ETH is it's everything to BMNR's technical analysis, because if this thing doesn't move, then
it's yeah. But this is, 26s was the buy in my mind here, and we're just on this trajectory. So for BMNR, can we get hit at BMNR? Can it get hit at 30s as it tries to like 33, and where that 20 and the 50-day simple are kind of like aligned? Absolutely. So that's your 3,500 pullback thing, and then you have to see it consolidate here. But
the shareholder vote is on Thursday. I don't know what's going to happen, but if they don't get approved to dilute by 50 billion shares, maybe that is a more material headline that separates it from ETH's price action, at least to an extent, maybe not fully. So yeah.
Oh, you tax loss harvested it, didn't you? That's why I'm getting this.
No, I'm waiting for it to get to 40 so I can in the money. I want to do what we did on HOOD with BMNR.
Okay, do not sell calls on BMNR here.
Yeah, I don't want to do it here because it feels like
it's insanely cheap IV. You're probably going to get smoked.
Yeah. Premiums aren't even decent. The buy.
No, the premiums are great for buying.
Yeah.
So like you could do optionality. You could do, if you tax loss harvested BMNR, you're going to have to either do I think it's call debit spread or something like that avoids the tax loss harvest, or not a tax loss, a wash sale, meaning that all your losses that you booked in the prior calendar year would actually, if you have a wash sale on a loss, your prior losses you don't technically count, and so they get added onto your next trade and carried forward. But anyways, you could do like I don't know that I would do the 2x BMN and Z. Yeah, if you like, I know the 2x leverages ones don't count as tax harvests, but that is not, I don't know that's ready for that. Not doing that. Anyways, you watch it. I think if there's like pieces coming up here, I think we get to 33 and we revisit this high, and shareholder votes will tell.
Imagine it pops back to 60 like it was. Like, could you?
I'm saying 55. I'm not saying 60.
So you're calling for 4,500 on ETH then for that to happen, basically.
Well, so here is, but time horizon, I think like in the next 3 to 6 months, not by the next time we see each other.
Yeah. Okay, last one, and then we'll end it out. Apple. Do you
So-
still own the stock?
I sold the majority of the stock right over here. But this guy, or actually, I think I might have been selling it over here. Over here. This guy hit all my targets. And this one, I think if you, depending on how you do this, if you have a trading position, something like that, this was a good run. Like when we're super bullish, this is a good run. This is a different type of setup than Google. Do I think you sell this? No. Like if you sell, like from an investment perspective, no. From a trading perspective, yeah, you need to sell your trade. So I hope that answers your question. This here, Apple, if it cannot hold that 260, which is the prior all-time high, it is a 230 type pullback. But for right now, we retested the prior all-time high. This looks very toppy to me. If I just took this and just swagged it, that's the 200-day simple moving average. So I didn't count the timer. And then if I do this also, I'm getting about 230. And I'm also getting some more confluence over here from this consolidation area, which is just a higher low from that perspective. So it's not a sell. It's like, can I get a lower dip buy? You can. So near-term trend, broken. This uptrend, broken. So now we look for the pullback. Where's the pullback? The first spot a pullback could be is literally right here at 260, which is a retest of that prior high. But to me, we typically will breach that, and we could see a little bit lower. So anywhere in that 240, this area here, retesting the zone, that's my area of interest. 240, 230s. That's where I would get interested. This 200-day simple, that red line here, is probably going to be higher by the time we see that. I think this near term can easily pop up to 270 easily, and then I would see some chop. And if this can hold at 260, cool. But for right now, this is tired, and it's a best case scenario going to a holding pattern because this upward momentum situation is over.
Okay. There you go, folks. The first TT of the year. I think we got through like 40 stocks.
Did we do 40? We need 259 more likes, please, they say.
We will try to do more diverse names throughout the year, but we hopefully got through as many of the ones that
we got through a lot, man.
We got through a decent chunk. So Jason will be here every single Tuesday of the year, unless we have earnings. So earnings or me traveling is the only reason we won't do TT, but he has graciously been with us for basically a year and a half now. And
yeah,
I think he's the best guy to do TT on the planet. If you want to learn TT, so Jason does have his new program that he's starting. I will put the link in the chat right now. And Jason, you can go ahead and talk about it as well.
Yeah. So like we've talked about our School of Gains for a really long time. And for sure, like, so we're launching this right now. It should be out in the next like few hours or whatever. And if you could drop the link in the chat, what it is, it's a program that takes everybody from literally knowing nothing to essentially like professional trader. This is a very different program than anything that exists that I've ever seen personally. The difference is like, and I was trying to come up with a good analogy the other day, but like there are a lot of sales, there's a lot of salesy courses out there that are teaching you TA or what have you. But if you think about it, like most of them are kind of like selling you this recipe and like make my special dish, and that's exactly the only outcome that you'll get. And it's very specialized. It's either super specialized or overly general. This is very much not the case, right? This is like teach you how to be a chef, not how to make a meal kind of thing. This is not my system, but it's all technicals, it's all trading, not just technicals. It's actually a little fundamentals in there too, but it's all trading from point A, like the saying was, take you from the cradle to the grave. And it's all of the foundational pieces, all the core skills, advanced analytics, analysis, strategic development as a trader. You can take this course. It was designed basically so that like me and my son, who's now 2, by the way, could actually probably sit down next to each other and both learn. So it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. It's either going to fill some gaps that existed that you may not have known about, or if you're new and you're coming from the investing world, trying to learn how to trade, this is the absolute best foundation that you could possibly build. But it's not specific to just options or just futures or just equity. That's what's different. This is all the stuff that never got taught or never got taught correctly. Everything that you think that you can Google, but it's probably wrong. And the stuff that you've seen us kind of change, like maybe paradigms on how do I look at charts. That's this. It's fixing that whole perspective. But by the end of it, the idea is that you can come out knowing nothing, and by the end, leave with a specific system designed specifically for you, by you, that fits your schedule, the type of trades that you take. You'll know exactly what kind of trader you are, and all of the above. That's very different than anything that exists today. And that's exactly what this was. So this is, I mean, the culmination of everything that I've done over the last 20 years, but it took a really long time. Honestly, there's still multiple tracks being made, but this is the most complete course that I've ever seen put together, and I kind of understand why now that it doesn't exist, because it was a lot of work. But yeah, that's what this is. So the link that Amit dropped, just like it's a little bit different. We have like a team that will kind of like vet everybody. Hey, look, this is going to be a smaller program, but check out the link. See if it's for you. Talk to some of our guys. We have a lot of traders out there in our group. It's not just me, but it's recordings, but it's also you get to trade live next to me and our team pretty much every day. And you can even ask questions while we're taking trades live throughout the day. So like, why did you do this? Why are you doing this? That kind of stuff. That happens all the time. Plus we do weekly group coachings that are way more in depth than a basic just chart analysis, but like help everybody develop as into better traders as a whole. So it's really good stuff, man. But it's kind of like mission driven, really.
I think the big thing about this is, do you want to be a trader, right? If you really want to learn the art of trade, which some people don't. Some people just want to be investors. Right. But if you genuinely want to swing trade, option trade, day trade, go really, really deep into the dynamics of technical analysis, then having
it's not like look. Talk to the guys. You're going to get your the fundamentals gratis, quite frankly. And if you want to go further in the training, it's going to be available for you. But it's like, as investors, you are uniquely positioned to be able to like multiply that compound effect of investing over time if you can at least learn some very basic things. And it's honestly it's cheap, but yeah, it's knowing how to, as simple as use RSI correctly, or is there something better than RSI and exactly how does that work? Yes, that's there. The simple moving average stuff, yes, very much in there. Taking the fundamental like logic and understanding how it applies to technical analysis and mixing those two when appropriate. Absolutely, that's a huge piece of this, right? It's everything from price action to literally all of it. Plus you get to trade with our crew, which is like 10 traders, full-time professional traders.
All right, there you go. There's Jason's Twitter. Again, I put his link in the description and in the chat. If anyone's interested, you can check it out. We will be back next Tuesday. Wait, let me see what earnings are next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, yeah, we have Netflix. No one fucking cares about Netflix.
The School of Gains link is the one for that.
Yeah, for that link in the chat. So we'll look at Netflix earnings next week, and then we'll.
Asian Steve is my quant. I have a quant actually, which is in the server. Our quants, our actual quants.
All right, folks, that is it. Thank you for being here. Daily recap will be out in an hour. I will be on Twitter Spaces with Adam if anyone cares about some counter government talk at 8 p.m. And then
you have been doing a lot of spaces lately.
Yeah, it's just once we come back from Vegas, back into the grind, and that'll work.
Is it a hard transition? It's got to be hard, dude. That was such a surreal. Was that a surreal experience?
Yes, but when I came back, I like slept for like 20 hours, so that kind of got me back into the zone. But yeah, it was fun, dude. It was really cool, and
I didn't know you guys got to have dinner with Vlad.
Jensen in person is different, bro, because it's like $108 billion in front of you. Like,
really? Is he not like a regular person, or is it's still
no,
like
he's intimidating? He's intimidating. Like he very thoughtfully thinks about what you're saying, and he will respond thoughtfully. So if you say some stupid shit, you're gonna get you're gonna get the vibe of like, why are you wasting my time, bro? I'm freaking Jensen Huang. Like, don't
nice, dude.
He got annoyed at a lot of questions that asked him the same shit that he can't give a real answer to. So it was intimidating, but it was cool to be able to talk to him.
Yeah.
Hopefully more in the future.
Appreciate it.
All
man.
right.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Very fun, very exciting, amazing stuff that we do. Appreciate all you guys. And yeah. Enjoy your meeting.
I'm sorry we missed Rocket, but Jason likes Rocket. He likes all the Rockets. He likes
it's
Rocket
like the
Lab,
home builder stuff. The home builder stuff.
Builder,
Yeah.
market trade. That should be both names.
For now, right?
All right.
The one issue is like, hey, look, it's possible that we don't get all these rate cuts that everybody thinks that we're gonna get.
Yeah.
All right.
Trump's gonna print out QE somehow, so we're gonna make it happen.
Somehow, some way. Go.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the market open tomorrow.
Later.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.